warned me to put the stream. Oh, god damn, there's so many settings. Oh shit, I should probably change the title of the stream. Whoops. Hold on. Turn this off, turn this off. I'm opening Pokemon cards. There you go. Okay, we should be good. Everyone's gonna be so weirded out that I'm streaming. I gotta make a playlist, man. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Hello. How's the hangover? I got no hangover. Built different. Hi, chat. Hand cam. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. There you go. Oh my god, I think it's capturing the wrong one. Test. There you go. Hi, y'all. Hi there, circumstance. Aren't you supposed to be... Alright, how's the frame rate with this camera? Okay, chat. First of all, hello. How are you? Hope you guys are doing good. Second of all, Grim, aren't you supposed to be in fucking Jules' stream? We're gonna see the thingies. So chat, I have, yeah, I don't know why mods have ads. Jelly's got a sub. That's so funny. Jelly, how's that pop? I don't know, dude. Also, chat, I just found out, I literally just right now found out why I'm having audio issues. Because it came back again. It came back again. Oh, we have ads. But it just came back. And I found out why. Mimoy gave a fucking gift to Jelly. That's so funny. You're on a... you even got your hands on them. Can't find any. Wait, on what? Are you saying the Pokemon cards? Wait, no. You got your hands on them. On what? I got no idea. But yeah, so hey, welcome to the stream. We're taking it easy today. But yeah. Also, wait a minute. I just realized my freaking thing isn't showing up. Hold on. Hold on. Game capture. Oh, why is it not see-through? What the fuck? Ah, there you go. So chat, I found out why. So the audio issue came back again, and I found out why. You guys are not gonna. You guys are not. I couldn't find Circuita. Give me a second. You guys are not going to guess why I had all these audio issues. So if you guys don't know, whenever I launch OBS, I had audio issues. God just hates you. No, I want everybody to guess. I want everyone like right now to just guess and like just. What do you guys think it was? Just give me a guess. You fried it? No, it wasn't even the shower stream. You see? No, not water. I'll tell you this right now. It has nothing to do with audio. It's not Discord. You guys ready for this? I'm going to give it a little bit more. Life Cypher, honestly true. Okay, you guys ready for this? It's the webcam. I fucking bro, I did some dude. I only me. I was like, bro, if I was not a software developer, I would have not fucking discovered this. So the webcam, Elgato has a webcam, and inside the webcam is like basically you have a virtual cam and it runs that, right? And you basically just go through everything there. For some fucking reason, that program just never runs properly. So every time OBS gets launched, because again, we thought it was OBS, right? I thought it was OBS. No, it was a red herring. OBS launches Elgato. Okay? And guess what happens? It tries to run the webcam, and then the webcam dies. And then guess what happens? The whole computer starts going fucking haywire. Because then the computer's like, I don't understand what's happening. Yeah. So I'm using a different webcam right now. I'm using I'm using a different webcam right now. I'm using the Osmo Pocket as my webcam. So that's kind of funny. So that's what we're doing today. Anyways, so if you guys don't know, I got bored. I'm not supposed to be streaming today, but I just genuinely got mega bored. So what I decided to do instead today. Yeah, dude, honestly, Logitech, that camera is like, it is the GOAT. It just does everything. There you go. Okay. So, check your DMs. Okay, so Jelly just gave me some basic stuff. So if you guys don't know what we're doing, I've never bought Pokemon cards in my life. So I bought these two. These ones right here. I don't know what this is. Have you taken your... I have taken my meds and I'm not... And I have no no hangovers. Did you get sleeves? I knew I fucking forgot something. I knew I forgot something. I have some extra sleeves, I think. So I can go find some extra sleeves. Do I have extra sleeves? I think I do. Yeah, I should have some extra sleeves. But this is the ones that I got. I don't know if these are any good, but we're going to be opening them up today. Okay, let me just get this out of this plastic thing. And by the way, chat, you guys are going to be the ones like... Oh my god. You guys are going to be the ones kind of helping me with this because I don't know anything, one, about Pokemon. And two, I don't know anything about opening booster packs in like a specific way. Is Crow past? No, Crow and Fuchsia are out at the moment. They're hanging out. Scarlet and Violet pack, so you move one card from the back to the front. Okay, thank you, Jelly. Jelly, do you want to be in the call? I feel like you know this a lot, so I feel like getting you in here would make a lot of sense. Ow. Oh, he's literally just calling me right now. Hello? Oh my fucking god, you're so big. Say something? Why can't I hear you? Oh, I know what happened. 1 second. 1 second. I know what happened. Fuck. Hold on. God fucking damn it. Hold on. Always gotta have problems up in the hood. Holy shit. Holy shit. Yep, you son of a bitch. Give me a second. Hold on. Can you say something? There we go.
Hello.
All right.
Okay. I'm tweaking out right now. I've been trying to get you into Pokemon cards for so long.
Chad, this is Jelly. What did he say? What did he sound?
I got all my decks in front of me right now. Okay.
Oh god.
So the proper way you open these decks is you take the first card at the bottom, you pull it out because that's just like the numbers, like rolls card. You get rid of it without looking at the deck or flipping it over.
Okay, so hold on.
And then
okay, because I'm gonna forget already. Okay, which one should we open first? Should we open the Paradox Rift or the Temporal Force? Well, I feel like the chat should choose. Chat, I feel like you guys gotta choose left or right. Just make a poll, you motherfucker.
Okay, fine, I'll do it. Damn.
Okay, I'll do it.
No, fuck you. I'm already doing it.
Okay, fine.
How do I make a poll? I forgot.
How do I make a poll?
There it is. Poll. Question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, never mind. Roses did it. Thank you, Roses.
Thank you, Roses. Okay, a lot of people are leaning towards the left. So it sounds like we're starting with the Paradox Rift. Did I? Yeah, you did.
God, you lefties.
Well, somebody did.
Oh, you lefties.
You lefties.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we're starting with this one. Is there like a... Am I in the right category? I put myself in just chatting, but is this technically Pokemon?
Oh,
it's a TCG, trading card game.
Yeah, TCG.
There's trading card game and trading... Oh, no. Okay, it's this one. All right, there you go. All right, always go left. Okay, so we're going to go with this one. Hi, Toonie. Okay, so... I just...
Go ahead and open it. Go ahead. Don't be shy. It's not going to bite.
It's not... Oh, I see. There's a little thing there. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so... All right, so we have this thing.
That's just like a little piece of paper that lets you know, how many cards are in there. Ah, this is the build and battle deck. This is the one that has like a bunch of set amount of cards in it, and then a few Pokemon card packs that you open.
Oh, so these are just booster packs then?
Yeah. Yeah, all these are just booster packs.
So
and then there's like
the right
a
one.
bunch
Okay.
of, like a,
Okay. Should I open this?
If you want to.
Or should I leave it
them.
alone for now?
Yeah, go ahead. There's nothing interesting in them. They're
Okay.
just like normal cards that aren't really that special. But you can look through them.
Okay.
Show the chat what you got.
I'm trying to be very careful with opening these, but I'm giga struggling right now.
Ah, these are fine. These aren't the good ones that you gotta look out for. You're gonna get like 6 of the same card in this kind of deck.
Okay. All right. I'm actually curious. All right, so we have... What is this? Okay, Zatu.
Is that
Some sort of training tips. Bunch of energies.
Oh, I think this is the energy deck.
Red energies.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have...
This Pokemon.
Let me zoom in a little bit, just so you guys can see. There you go.
These are like the Pokemon decks that are pre-made that you can battle with.
Ah. Okay. Let me see this one.
Usually the rules state that you can't have... Wait, can you have the same Pokemon? No, you can. Never mind, I'm stupid.
Hi, how are you?
I can
Good,
also
how are you?
teach you
Welcome
how to
stream.
How to play the game if you want to. Not a lot of people know.
I only know a little bit, but definitely not a lot. Okay.
What the fuck? Oh, my keyboard. Oh my god. Okay. Rose has sent me something very special, and my keyboard freaked out. Thank you, Rose.
Parasol Lady, Tulip, Youngster, Missa Goza. What does this do? They can play the online game?
Yes.
My god.
Hmm.
Once during each player's turn, that may flip a coin. Oh, I don't have a coin. Right. I forgot there's a coin in this game.
Well, if you bought the build and battle deck, it should come with at least one coin.
So, let's see it.
Did you get it? Oh my god. Did you buy those boxes separately? Did you not buy the full box?
No, because I told Crow to buy me a box, and he's like, I bought these instead. I'm like, okay.
Oh my god. Okay.
Fucking Crow,
Crow
man.
bought you like... Fuck you, Crow. I'm kidding.
At least, yeah, I don't know.
Those boxes are supposed to come inside of like... Or we have mine.
Like a big box, right?
Yeah, a big box that comes with all the like dice and the coins and shit.
Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this one specifically, yeah, it does. It comes with coins and shit. Because it's build and battle, it's different from the trainer box.
Hmm. How do you play Pokemon anyways? I got no idea. Yeah, there's no coin that I see inside. But okay, so let's give this one a go. So do I open it like this, or do I open it like this?
Mm-hmm. Flip it on its back. No, yeah, like that. Mm-hmm. No,
You know
flip
what? Here, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen just so you can see what's going on.
Because this lag, girl, it's not T.
It's not T.
Thank you. Mm-mm. This isn't it. I still don't like it.
Do you see my screen?
Uh-huh, I see it.
Okay, so like this?
Okay. Like that.
Okay. You didn't get a trainer
You're
box?
going
No.
You're going to want to lift up the tab and then pull it like you're opening a candy bar. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay, this is nerve-wracking. What the fuck? How do I open this? Like, safely?
Yeah, you just gotta like, yeah.
Bro!
What do you... Just pull the tab really hard and then just grab the other side and pinch it.
Just get scissors, bro. Honestly, I think Bugs is right.
Okay, if you really want to risk it, you can get scissors.
I'm getting scissors. The fuck?
Okay. Just be careful. Make sure the cards are below the scissors. You don't want to cut the card.
Okay. I know, right? That's good. I know, right, Devin? Okay, so put it like at the end like this, and I'm gonna cut the top. I'm guessing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Make sure the cards aren't there. Yeah.
Okay, so do I just pull it out
Be
like
careful.
this?
Like that. Do not flip it over. Do not look it under. Look
Okay,
underneath.
so
Well, the full thing.
this is not a card, right? This is something else.
You can either get rid of that or keep it.
Oh,
You can
there's
use
a
it for
code
like
in
the
it.
online app.
Okay.
Mhm. It gives you like a pack to open online.
Okay.
Don't flip it over.
Okay, so now what do I
Take
do?
the card from underneath and slide it on top
Like-
without looking at it.
Like this and like this?
hmm
Okay. Now what?
And now you can flip it over and you can go through the deck.
Okay. Oh shit, mining! I actually like this. I love
Yeah.
mining. Holy shit. Buddy
Little
pulse. We have
cutie.
pulsal. Okay. All right. So the next one is. Oh,
Double
Doublade. Oh, I
edge.
fucking love Doublade. Holy
Double
shit. Okay. God damn it! I need to get the first one though, dude. I used to. Oh man, I used to play them a lot in X and Y. Oh, go. Oh, it's
Perfect.
Destiny.
Great.
It's
Amazing.
Destiny. Oh, I gotta
End
play
the stream.
Miltank.
End the stream now.
End the stream. It's
over.
done.
Wrap
We're
it
done.
up.
All right. End the stream. No,
We're done.
We love Miltank chat. All right. Next one is Professor Turo's scenario.
Oh,
What the?
hell yeah.
Pick one of
Oh,
your
he's the
Pokemon to
new-
play into your hand. Discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. Okay.
He's the new professor for the new game. He's so hot. I love him.
He's so hot. Hold on. Oh my god. Try to fix the lighting. Hold on.
Exactly. Exactly. Chat knows what's up.
This is the worst lighting ever. Alright, it's okay.
Yeah. You gotta get like a spotlight.
I do have one. I just want to go find it. Okay. Next one is Miensha. I've never seen this.
I have a full art of that one.
Wow, that looks really
I really
cool.
like that.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, she's really pretty. 3-step strike, flip 3 coins, attacks. Okay. And then whip expert. If you attach Pokemon tool to the card. Okay.
Have you ever played Magic before?
Yeah, I played Magic. I played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, and I played a game called Card Fight Vanguard that a lot of people probably don't know what it is.
Pokemon is literally just Magic. That's it.
Okay.
It plays like Magic.
What's your coolest card ever collected? No, dude, this is my first fucking. Oh, well, like, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, it's been a while, but like in Card Fight, like I had a bug deck and it was really fun. Holy shit, Sparksoul's Card Fight Vanguard? Oh my god, Sparks. We're gonna talk later.
Sparks are old. Old. Anyways.
Rika, look at the
Hold
top 4 cards of your deck, put 2 of them in your hand, shuffle the other
Oh.
2. That sounds really good.
Rika is one of those they, them, non-binary, vegetarian, vegan. One of those androgynous.
Okay. Well, this one sounds good. What commander did you use for MTG? I didn't play commander. So yeah, that's me. That just shows how much. Ooh,
I
this looks
played
pretty.
Commander.
Look at that. Not
Oh
good.
yeah, some of those have like that weird foil on them. That's
Yeah,
kind
look
of
at
cool.
that. That's a cool foil. Look at that. Rock throw, Stone Edge. Yeah, I barely played Magic. I didn't play enough. I'll say that. But yeah, this looks pretty. I like this one. Okay, Sir. Oh, was that? Yep. Sir Skit.
Surskit.
Sir Skit. Triple spin. 10x. Flip 3 coins to 10 damage for each heads. Why is it 10x though? Is that 10 damage? Oh no, is that plus? No, this is an X.
10
It's multiply.
times damage. Yeah, it's a multiplier.
Oh, okay. Wochian. Really pretty.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Wow, look at that. It's so pretty.
That's one of the legendary Pokemon from the
Oh
game.
wow, okay. Add up the 2 basic energy cards, and then during your opponent next turn. Okay. And then I think the next one's the last one, right? No, no, one more.
One more.
Basic energy. And then the next one is... Oh, Gabite. Gabite.
Aw, it's cute. That's the last one?
Yep.
Ah, there was nothing really special in there, but you'll find something, don't worry.
Alright, well, I'm having fun already. I'll chat next time. I'll get a proper. Hold on. Let me ask them because they're around. What if they're at a trading card place? Hold on. I'm gonna call them. Chat, give me a second.
Anyways, chat. What's the tea? What's going on? Y'all like Pokemon? Yes, I'm getting Pokemon ZA Sparks, but I'm gonna wait until the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out.
Oh
I'm pretty sure they're gonna make a special edition for it.
Hold on, I gotta call Crow. Give me a second, chat. We're gonna call Crow. Hold on. Oh, you have a Pokemon Z? I don't know. When are we getting Miltank? Cosplay. God damn it, Lazarus.
You gotta get
Crow.
Pokemon ZA with me and Riss. So
Yo, listen, if you guys are at like nearby a trading card place, can you guys buy like an actual booster box? Like, or just if you're around, like just let me know just let me know when you're in and just call us and then or call me and then like I'll tell you which one to get. Because apparently you didn't get the right ones. Are you serious? Can you go back? Yeah, okay. Alright, thanks. Alright, see ya. Alright. Bye. Okay, they're gonna call you when they're gonna go buy another booster pack. Or a proper booster
I've been
pack.
doing chores for the past
Let them know
2.5
to either get
hours.
like a bunch of booster packs or to get one big box. Not just the 2 little boxes, the big one.
Okay, let me tell them right now.
Actually, I'll send them a picture of what it's supposed to look like.
Okay, message it to Crow. Okay, so we're gonna get another pack. And also, thank you 100 bits, Rosie. And okay, you've been 2.5 hours, Jesus, okay. Alright, next one. So, okay, we're gonna get another box after chat. Okay, I'm a little bit scared. Also, somebody said an addiction starts. Look, I've always wanted to get into like proper trading cards. And like Pokemon was always something I wanted to get into. Oh wait, backwards like this, right? Alright, does I get the bootleg gas station Pokemon cards? No, it like came with like a pre-built deck and stuff, that's why. Okay, so take this code away. Alright, so you say take the top one and put it to the bottom like this?
No, take the bottom one and put it to the top.
Take the bottom one, put it to the top. Only one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, so now we'll go for the next ones. Alright, ready chat? Alright. Hoppa! I've never seen this.
That one, that's from Gen 5. From like Black and White. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. That's the old
I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it's part of this, but okay. Fish, you know what that means? I don't. Sprinkle water. What does sprinkle water do?
It's just like basic damage. It's one of those like basic attack cards that you just put on the field just to like do damage at first. When you have like a lot of energy in your deck.
Oh, okay. Oh, sprinkle water does. Oh, this is damn. Okay, got it. Okay. Next one is.
That's a damage counter. Oh, this one's the cutest one ever.
Punkaboo. Seed Bomb, Reckless Charge. Pokemon does 20 attack. It's really cute. I really like this one actually. Oh, this one's cute.
It's adorable.
Okay. Next one is Zubat. Ooh. A foiled one. Well, not foiled, but why is it colored like that? That is so different. Look at this Zubat.
I'm pretty sure that one's Echo's favorite.
This is Echo's favorite. Like this specific card. Why is it like this?
Not the card, but the Pokemon. Why is it like what?
I don't know. It's like the coloring. It's like dark themed or something.
Well, that's the dark type.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Oh, Echo said no, it's not lol.
No, it's not? Oh, I'm thinking of Sova. Never mind.
Hey, Spotty. Oh, wait, how much to eat the Remoraid card? I just realized what Spotty wrote. $500. No, I'm just kidding.
2 cents.
2 cents? Hey! What am I, cheap hoe?
No, that's what it's worth.
Is it actually? Yeah, but you're making me eat fucking... You're making me eat, though. Alright, next one is Simipour.
Oh.
Oh, this one's really cute. Yeah, look at the art. I really like the art. Look at that. Monkey Trio. If you have Simic, Simisear, or Simpor play, ignore all your energy cost attacks. Oh, what the fuck? That's really cool. The
This
third
one works
dash your
with other
opponent.
ones.
Benched. Don't apply weakness or resistance for bench Pokemon. Okay. Oh, wow. Zipstrika. Burst of Braying. Choose basic energy cards from your discard pile up to the prize cards taken. Okay. Thunder. This Pokemon does 50 damage. Okay. Next one is Crocolore.
Ah, it's a fat bitch.
It's
I love it.
the fat bitch. Hey man. He's bulking. Leave him alone. Rolling Fireball is 90 though. That's a lot of damage. Okay. Ooh, okay. Techno Radar. You can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand. Search up your deck for 2 future Pokemons. Reveal them and put them into your hand and shuffle your deck. Okay. Oh my god, it's Miltank again! Yeah. What the fuck? Look, it's got a little foil on it too. Yeah, foiled Miltank. Yeah. Holy shit, we got 2 Miltanks, chat.
You're gonna have 100 of them by the end of this.
This is the last one.
Oh,
no.
Sick. No, that's not the last
Shin
one, but
Pao.
that's still sick as fuck.
Snowbringer, Wrathful Blade. That's really good. Okay, and then the last one is... Oh, no, not the last one. Sorry, Basic Energy. Sorry. Now it's the last one. Ah, Loudred. Fucking Loudred. It's alright. Okay. We got 2 Miltanks. Yeah. I feel like at this point we should have like something happen if we get like Miltanks every single time. Where's the other Miltank? Hold on.
You got 2 Miltanks and you got 2 legendary Pokemons. It's pretty good.
I thought that was good just because we got 2 Miltanks. Doesn't even matter. We got Miltanks. I like Doublade. I really like Doublade. I'm really happy with that one. And then, where's the other Miltank? There you are. There's the other Miltank.
You could do what I do and use them as like bookmarks. I use a Mimikyu card as a bookmark.
Oh, that's cute. You don't think Miltank is viable?
Sorry, I don't like some cat with fat tits on my book. Oh.
Hey, man, damn, don't be me. Shit. All right, next one. Next pack. All right. One of the Miltanks has a very special background thingy. Oh, okay. Who thinks Strix is gonna get another Miltank? At this point, something should happen if we get like. How about this? If we get 5 Miltanks, something should happen. Chat, what's gonna happen if I get 5 Miltanks? Thoughts? Back tattoo. No. Jesus. You cosplay Miltank.
Yes, back tattoo.
How would I do that?
Well, they have Miltank suits. Miltank one.
Mom.
Your mom. Mom. Thank you, Rosie. Get a tattoo. What is with people getting I'll get a Miltank tattoo. Imagine. It's like a little small. You know what? I'll get a small Miltank tattoo if I get 5 Miltanks. Oh, I'm scared. Wait, what's the pull rate on that?
That Miltank card is pretty common. So.
Oh, fuck. Never mind. I lied. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. Scrap it. What do you mean? I'm kidding. No! Chat! Oh my god.
Nah, you already said it.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god.
Listen, they're randomized.
Thank you, Magnus.
So, you know, it's fine.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. We'll stick to 5. I'll do a little. It'll be a small one. A very small Miltank tattoo, okay?
Yeah, like a thigh tattoo.
Pulsel! We got all Midas! Yeah!
Hell yeah.
Tandemouse.
Oh.
It's just a... That is a cute mouse. Look at that. Tumble over during your next turn. Use this Pokemon can't... Oh, come on. Can we just meet in the middle and make it a Miltank onesie instead? Is that even a thing, though? A Miltank onesie? If there is, I'll wear that.
Hey, I know you guys are fucking.
Hold on, let me check.
Hold my hand. I'm shy.
What is that? Oh, it's the Squidward bitch.
PAL for strictly Miltank. And yes, you get Miltank tattoo if you get 5 of them.
This bitch
no running
runs
from it, Robot Man.
like a fucking rubber hose cartoon character.
Damn,
it is the craziest I've ever seen.
Interesting. Okay. All right, next one is...
Oh, never mind. Rose has found the onesie.
Okay, fine. I'll wear the onesie. I'll wear a Miltank onesie. How about that? Chat Miltank. Okay, we'll wear the Miltank onesie if there's 5 Miltanks. There.
Oh, you got Gorgeist.
Gorgeist.
That's the evolution of Pumpkaboo.
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, don't we have... Wait, didn't we Pull Punko? No, I don't think we did.
You got Speed Evolution.
Hell yeah. Professor Sada's Vitality. Choose up to 2 ancient Pokemons and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. If you attached any energy this way, draw 3 cards. Okay. Tatsugiri. That looks just like a sushi. Okay. Survival's interesting. Okay. Oh, Panseer! Let's fucking go.
Oh, there we go. The other one.
I'm so happy I got Panseer. Because it is a sushi. That's funny. I didn't know that. I fucking love Panseer. Gimme Ghoul?
Oh.
A little foil.
You hide it forever. Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky.
It's pretty weak
Ricky,
in the
when
game.
I catch you,
But they
Ricky.
treat it like it's
Ricky,
like
when I catch you, Ricky. Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky.
Circuit, Rose, that onesie is $250 US.
$250 US? Okay, never mind. I might as well get a fucking tattoo. I think it would be cheaper than to get the onesie. The fuck? There's 3 virtual Tatsuguri? Okay. Alright, next one is... Ooh! Oh!
Oh, shit!
Wow, look at that. It's
you
pretty.
better put that in a sleeve. Quick.
Oh. Well, right now?
Actually,
But
do you have one?
I think I do. But is this good?
And put it in
Chat,
a sleeve.
is this good?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll be right back.
pretty
Protect it right now. Okay, you guys are making my hands sweat, man. What the fuck? Okay, I'm getting the sleeves. Hold on, fuck.
Okay, so for the chat, this card doesn't go for much, but it's an EX card with a foil on it, which is still pretty good. I would hate for him to like ruin this shit. It's still a nice ass card. Exactly. I know people who have framed their shit. My friend got a terrestrialized shiny Charizard.
Tell Crow to buy sleeves.
Okay,
Hold on, I
fuck,
don't
I
have
forgot.
headphones. Tell Crow to buy sleeves.
My sleeves. How do you spell sleeve? Sleeve. There we go.
Okay, next one is... Oh, just an energy card, okay.
Oh, wait, actually, never mind. The box I told him to get comes with sleeves. I'm stupid. He comes with them.
You're there. This is our temporary sleeve chat. There you go. There.
Oh
yeah,
my
guess,
god.
yeah, get sleeves anyways. Tell them to buy dragon sleeves.
Dragon sleeves? Okay.
Yeah. Alright, and the last one is... Wimpot. Are you sure I got the legendaries incorrect? I feel like that should be in the bottom, though. I think we're putting this incorrectly.
What's the rim? Is this yellow or silver rim?
It's a silver rim.
Oh, fuck, I'm stupid. It's 2, not 1. My bad.
So I have to pull 2 at the bottom, right? No, it should be 3 then, because it's this, and then that one, right?
Well, if you pull 3, then the good one's gonna be...
Because it's like this, right? And then everything else is on top. Oh, wait, no, but I put 1.
I have a local Pokemon expert that knows more than me that I can ask.
Circuit, you take 1 card from the back to the front and then get rid of the next at the back. Okay, we did the first part. We didn't do the second part. Okay, you know what? Here, we're just going to open
What's
up...
the second part?
I got no idea. Get everyone in on this. We're just getting all the professionals, yeah? Just get all the pros. So how do you do this?
Well, right. Whenever I do it with my friend, for the silver ones, it's just 1 card. I don't know what's going on with this one.
Okay, so again, you always did 2. I didn't know. Here's what I did. Okay, here's what I was told.
Oh,
take the bottom
one,
like this and do this, right? Isn't that what I was told to do? But now should I do 2 instead?
That's what I do.
Try to do 2.
I'm not sure. Try 2. Also, Bro Bear, I always did 2. They changed the way you do it. Because these cards used to have like a yellow rim. When the yellow rim, when they had the yellow rim, you moved 3 to the front instead of just 1. But then when they changed it to silver, we started doing 1, because they changed like the order in which the cards are put in the pack.
Toonie said you take those out, man. Well, take what out? Okay, here's how it was before. What do I do now? What do I do now?
Take what out?
Oh, Toonie's saying to you, I don't take those out. What out? What do I take out?
The only one
I
to
don't
take
know,
out
Bugs.
is the fucking...
Okay, which one is the legendary? Which one's the special card? It's probably the
special
third
card-
one from the bottom, right? Or from the top now?
Try the third one from the top.
Well, it's always been third one. Like, so it's probably, so we probably need to do one, the second to last, right? So
Two.
two, and then probably one
Dude,
more,
I
right?
know you
Like
guys
this,
are
three.
fucking, but can you hold my
Like
Yeah,
this, no?
try that. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Lazarus.
To properly open a Pokemon card pack, hold the sides, pull the middle tab while separating the glue, and then open from the front, taking the code card from the back and energy card from the front.
Yeah, that's what I did with the silver ones.
Okay,
That's
let's
how
just
you're
try. Let's
supposed
just
to do
try
it
this.
now.
So I'm gonna do. Okay, let's just try what I did. I just put three like chick and done. No, you'll flip it.
For fuck's sake, just try this
Let's try
one.
this. Let's just
and
try
if
this.
it doesn't
Let's
work,
try
go back
this.
to one.
I feel like we're like going through some next level math. Okay, next, the first one is
The
Pharaoh
Pokemon
Seed.
Company loves changing this shit.
Of course, Pharaoh Seed is the first
Pharaoh
one.
Seed. That's nice. That's cute.
Okay. Amber
Oh,
Palm. Monkey. Look, guys, it's Eggbot. Mankey.
It's Eggbot.
It's Eggbot. Snorlax doll? Holy shit, it's like a paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck? If this card is in
Oh,
your hand
yeah.
when you're setting up to play, you may put it face down from the active spot to your bench as if it was a 120 HP basic Pokemon. You can only do this if you're setting up to play. Anytime you return, you may discard it from play. This card can't be affected by any special conditions and can't be revealed. No, I can't retreat. If this card is knocked out, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. What?
Long story short, you just put it there for your opponent to attack, and then it takes damage for you, for like to protect other cards.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool, actually. Tinkatoon? Tinkaton? Whatever. She has a little hammer. Look at that. Oh, that's cute. Look at that. She's got a little hammer. Not a little hammer. That's a very big hammer, actually. Alloyed hammer.
Team.
This attack does 120 damage with any Pokemon's energy attached. Oh, shit. Okay.
Her Pokedex entry says that she likes to knock birds out of the sky and beat the shit out of them.
What the fuck? Okay,
Love
that's
her.
a little mean. Yeah, fuck this bitch. Oh,
No,
we got
love her.
Gorgeist. Again. Alright, next one is Crustle. Okay. It's a little crab.
That's cool.
We need Miltanks. Oh. Iron
Ooh,
Jugulus.
nice.
Thoughts, chat?
This is like the robot version of. It's a I forgot what the fuck the name was. Hydreigon? It's a robot version of a Pokemon from Gen 5. It's like a new one.
Oh, so it's a Crustle, my boy.
Like a regional variant.
Why is it? Yo, so that's why it says future right here, yeah?
Thank you, Faye Twink. Love you.
Alright, next one is an energy. Okay, then the next one should be legendary. Okay, never mind. That
Nope.
one after. No, okay, there's not. The one after should be legendary. Or whatever. Okay, never mind. The one after should be legendary. Okay, well, I like this one. Hold on.
Oh
Purloin.
my god.
Look at this. Cute. Alright.
That's the gay one.
Oh, Iron Jugglers was a legendary? Oh, so we fucked up. Okay, alright.
No, it's not a legendary. It's just a regional variant.
Well, I mean, like, the most rare card, apparently.
No, it's not.
Oh, well, the last one was Mienfoo. I really like this card. This is cute. Beat down. Damn.
Oh, the rare card in the deck? Oh, okay, I thought you meant a rare card in general.
So we fucked it up again. But hey, we got this card. It's so cool. I like this one. I actually really like this one, too. So these are the two cards we got for now. It's, like, really cool. Homing Headbutt. I'll put this in a sleeve for now.
Crow could not find any sleeves at the store, but the Boxy Bot comes with them already.
Cool.
So it's fine.
Perfect. No. All right, there you go. All right, last sleeve. Last pack for this. Wait, did I finish? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, we're done. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, we're done. Okay, so now we're doing this box, and then we'll get the box when Crow comes in. Cool. All right. No.
I forget what's in this one.
A
Oh,
tag.
that's cool.
Okay. We'll leave that aside for now. No. Miltank, I choose you. All right. All right. So we'll go. So there's four packs. Chat, do you know how we're supposed to set? Like, I know we already had this talk, but let me try again. Pokemon. Wait, hold on. What is this? Paradox shift. Temporal. Okay,
This is temporal force.
temporal forces.
For
how
Scarlet
to
and Violet,
open.
the silver lining, it's supposed to be just one. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at it right now. Temporal forces. It's not telling me. Bro.
You know what? Try Reddit. That'll work.
I'm trying. It's just a bunch of people complaining about the fact that they didn't get anything.
Well, you already knew that. Yeah.
Boo.
You still live a life that you dread.
Oki googled it. Says you can move 1 or 3 to the back of the deck to put any special cards in the deck on top. To put the special card on the bottom, I guess you do the 3, then move the one that would be on the top to the bottom. So 4?
So yeah, so is it
That's
4 then? What?
confusing.
The fuck?
I don't think it's ever been 4. I've never done 4. I've only done 3 the most.
What the hell is Roses sending me? Roses, what are you sending me? Are these playmats? Yeah, why are you sending me a bunch of playmats? Moo Moo Milk
So you can
Medley
learn how to
playmat.
play.
Why am I getting
So
a
we
bunch
can
of
play
playmats?
together.
Are you buying these for me?
Yes, Roses, do it. Do it, do it, do
I'm
it.
so confused. What is this fuck ass yodeling? You shut up. These are sick. These are sick sleeves too. But why are you buying me the? That's a sick mat, by the first one. That's a cool ass mat for your
Are
children.
you gonna show us?
No. Yes.
Rude.
It's,
Damn.
It's. Hold on. Chat. This is what was shown. Oh my god, I fucked up the camera.
Who is that? That's Rulage. Oh, look at that. Oh, you're back from the Pokemon Center?
No, no,
Uh,
this is just like something Rosa sent to me. I got no idea.
Pokemon Center is usually more expensive than if you were to buy everything else.
That's true. God forbid I said you something that made me think of you and thought you'd like. I'll go fuck myself. No, I'm actually asking you a question. Like, are you buying this
Well,
for
you
me?
already
Like, just
knew
to make
that.
sure.
Yeah. You still live a
I
life
didn't
that
say
you dread.
anything.
It says that or move 1, 3, or 4 of the back cards to the front. Found a diagram.
I can't believe we
Lol.
need a fucking diagram.
Bro. I always have done.
Do you want me to? Can
I
you
said
send me
just
the first mat? That'd be pretty cool, actually. Yo, Rosa, send me whatever you want. I'm actually like, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Roses. I love you. Come on.
You shouldn't even like, because you're all okay done. I'm like, what do you mean okay done? What was done? I'm so confused. All right, so you said take the 3. So take the 3 in
we
the
already
front
tried-
and put it in the back. All right, we tried that.
We tried 3 and it
But
didn't
I
work.
didn't like, I put it like 1 by 1. So maybe let's just try like this, maybe. Like that. I see people
Go
do
ahead.
that. Okay. All right. Elgium? Elgium?
Elgi-
Elgium? Elgium?
I don't know how to
Fuck.
say this bitch's name.
Looks kind of cool.
I could never figure it out. It is cool.
Next one's a Vikavolt. That was pretty cool.
Vicodin. Oh, Vicodin.
Did you say Vicodin?
Don't worry about it.
You know what, Rose? Okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it for myself. Don't worry, Rose. Thank you for showing me that. I'm gonna buy it. Oh wait, Danny just sent something. What is this? Is this like how to like unpack it?
This is a virus.
It's YouTube link. Okay, prismatic. Okay, so they open it, and then he just shows the code, and then he takes 1. Oh, he only did 1 though and put it in the front.
Oh, that's what the problem was. You moved the one from the front of the deck to the back. We're supposed to do it from the top of the deck. to the back.
Ah,
One.
okay, we'll know now. Okay, I'll know now.
See, I knew it was 1. Y'all thought I was stupid.
Okay,
Y'all
well if I
thought
put it
didn't know.
back, see, I already what? What did I do? I did this, so basically,
Three.
Fuck you, who cares? We'll do it next pack. We'll do it next pack. Alright, anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I just revealed that one. Oh shit, Latios.
Oh, Latias.
Alright, the
Oh,
next
it's a
one's I think
legendary.
is a legendary. Nope. Great Tusk. I think I already ruined it. Great Tusk. 160. The fuck?
He hits hard. He's a big boy.
Iron Hands.
He's got hands.
He's got hands.
No.
He's got fat hands.
Super Alloy Hands, 80 plus. If your opponent's Octopo is a Pokemon EX or Pokemon V, this attack does 80 more damage. What the fuck? It's like a fucking boss killer. Oh,
It is, actually.
fucking shit
Yeah.
taught. Oh, I love
I'm
this cute
surprised
one.
that you actually like this one because this is actually a really hated Pokemon.
Wait,
Not a lot of people
why?
Like this one.
Why? So
Because its
cute.
face is just a music note, and they think it's stupid.
Oh my
But I
god, it
think
looks
it's
cute. Come on. Sadly, those packs don't have it. Miltank. We got like 2 Miltanks. Oh, but it was from not Prismatic. It was from this one. Temporal Forces. I'm new to this. Look at the stream old crest. Oh, I think it's cute. I like it. What the hell's going on here? Relicanth. Memory Dive.
Oh shit.
Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. Okay. And then the energy card. Hey, Hunter!
Oh, I love the Gengar line.
And Pikachu.
Let's go. Stream over.
And
we got
one
Pikachu.
more. And Ghastly.
It's done.
Wait, Ghastly Haunter, right? Don't they evolve from each other?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. You just got the full evolution of that one. There you go. Look at
Well, no,
that.
because it's still Gengar. There's a third one.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, just we got the first 2 steps in one pack. All right, that's that. That's cool. Okay.
To get from Ghastly to Haunter to Pikachu. That's how it goes.
Okay. All right, next one. Now where's Gengar? It's gonna be this one. You could tell some people are like super new to me, my stream, because they're like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Or sorry, they know that I'm new to this.
Oh yeah. Because you're cutting them open and you don't know how to open a fucking Pokemon deck. Damn.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me double check.
Yes, you move the one from the top to the back.
So like this. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I checked the video. Okay, so take the bottom one, go to the top like that, and then we go. Right. Okay. So it's an energy card. Okay, there we go. And then we move. Okay.
There we go. This is
There
correct.
we go. All right. Oh, Ecans. Or Snake. All right.
Mhm.
Now I can say I've seen someone
Yeah.
use scissors to open packs. Look, I just didn't want to bend them or anything, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll use scissors. Turtwig. That's cute. I like this
Aw.
art.
This is yeah.
Wait,
I love that they get like different artists for like each card. You can find the artist name in like the top bottom left corner.
Oh, you're right. Look at that. Oh, Pushina. Look at
Oh,
this one. Look at this
let's
cute
go,
art.
dog.
Look at that. That's a cute art. Next one is Wiglet. Why is it white?
Why is it white?
Why is it white? That's like the most rate. That's like, why is it white? He's a little guy. He's a little guy. Look at him go. So cute. I like this a lot.
Little Wiglet.
You know when you look. Oh, don't say it like that, man. Oh my god.
Little Wiglet. Listen, I hate that they made this one a separate Pokemon from Diglett and not just a regional variant. This is apparently
Okay,
different.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of Diglett. I'm like, why is it white right
Mhm.
now? Okay, that's why, because it's the wrong. I'm thinking of the wrong
They ran
Pokemon.
out of ideas.
They made it a little bit rare, you know. Okay,
Uh-huh.
as a Wiglet.
They made it
I
transracial.
kind of like it. It's still
Oh,
cute.
hi.
Screamtail. Okay. Wait a minute. I've never seen this. Why does this look like? Am I
Which
just
one?
crazy? It looks like Jigglypuff.
That is Jigglypuff.
Oh, why is she?
As-
Yeah.
These like future and past Pokemon are just different like variants of older Pokemon.
Oh.
that already existed.
Oh, okay. Heavy Baton. If the Pokemon in this is attached has a retreat cost of exactly 4, is in the active spot, and is knocked out by damage from Pokemon Repose Pokemon. Move up to 3 basic energy from that Pokemon to your benched Pokemon any way you like. Oh, okay. Why is it heavy baton? You beat the shit out of the Pokemon? Like, what are you doing? Iron Variant, Valiant. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
That looks cool. I like the future ones. They look really awesome. Look at that.
the future ones are peak, but the names are stupid. They're all just called Iron something.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. All right, next one is
But Iron Valiant's the best one.
Licky. A licky licky.
Oh, he wants to licky you.
He wants to. Okay, don't have to say it like that.
No.
Tongnado. All right, next one is
NATO.
My God. Oh, it's Latias again, and then the last one is. Hey, look at that.
Oh. Yeah, foil that. Put that one in the sleeve.
Okay. Furry giraffe.
No, it's Parafarig. That's what it's called.
Farrig. It's furry giraffe. Furry giraffe.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? That's what I've heard other people call it.
Wow, that looks really nice. This is a freaking like not like what's it called? It's not just a foil. It's something
like
right now. Okay, everybody's saying sleeve it, sleeve it, sleeve it. Okay, I'm sleeving it.
Yeah, I just said put it in the sleeve.
I know, I was just showing it off and shit. I was like, ooh, sleeve it.
You can show it off in its protected sleeve.
For the tattoo fund.
Oh my God, Maybear. Thank you for the 1,000 bits. What the fuck, man?
Let's go.
All right, next pack. Jesus, that scared me. It was touching the air. Oh my God, you guys are so paranoid. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me try opening it normally. You said, like this, and then what do I do? Like just
like you're opening a candy bar.
Well, I can't. Like it's gonna bend if I like. So I can't grip the other side, man.
That's fine if it bends a little bit. It's okay.
I can't.
Now, do you have zero hand-eye coordination?
Bro, it's not that. I feel like I'm gonna fuck something up. A little bit should be fine. I'm so scared.
Don't be afraid. Just go deep down. Dig deep down.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Yay! Everybody clap. You're a big kid now. You opened a Pokemon pack the correct way.
Scared of like touching it. I feel like I went through so many extra steps and it might have ruined something. Okay, so again, chat, I take the bottom, the top one, and I put it like this, right? Right, and that's it. And then we just go. You can pull it open like a zipper if that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, but everyone's like, no, don't do that. Okay, so it's an energy card. What is this? Sizzlipede. I've never seen this.
Sizzlipede. That's from Sword and Shield.
Oh, that's why.
Kind of new.
That's cute. Oh, Meryl. Oh, that's cute.
It's a fat fuck.
Okay, well, all right. They don't have to say it. Okay, I'm gonna put
He's just a little ball.
Oh,
That's
Golden!
my favorite.
You look cute, motherfucker. Look at this son of a bitch. No, that's so
You're
cute.
just what he evolves into. He gets big.
I love Gold. Excuse me?
Yeah, he gets huge when he evolves. I'll
Does
show
he?
you later.
Yeah, show me later. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
He's a big guy.
Oh, look at bro. This is some Hollow Knight shit. Look at this. This is cute. Silk Song got announced by the way, chat. Look at this. This is so cute. Done sparse. I zoned out like trying to understand how to pronounce this. Bronzong. Bronzong.
That Bronzong.
Bronzong.
Correct.
A cute Skonger never gives up. True. Next one is Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. The ancient Pokemon this card is attached to gets extra 60 HP, recovers from all special conditions, can't be affected by any special conditions. The fuck? That sounds kind of busted, no?
Oh, it's busted in the video game too.
Oh, so it is busted,
It's
okay.
busted everywhere.
I was gonna say, this sounds hella
Yeah.
busted. Ooh, Iron Treads.
It is.
You're right, it's all iron. Okay, I like this one. Move a Pokemon energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. What's the point? Oh, as long as this Pokemon has a future booster's energy capsule attached, it is fighter and some sort of type that I can't see. Ooh, Palafin. Is Palafin? What the hell's going on here? Is he flexing?
Oh, that's the superhero one.
Oh, the Dolphins.
The way he works
He's
in
so
the game
funny.
is if He comes out as a normal dolphin,
Brunette
then
boy.
he hits you, he goes away, he comes back, and he's a superhero now.
That's so funny. What the hell?
It's like Superman.
Breloom.
I people like this one. Because it's just a mushroom guy.
It's cute. And the last one is Drampa.
Oh, I like that one.
That looks really clean. That looks really sleek. Wow, look at that.
In the Pokedex entry for Drampa, it says that he befriends small children who are being bullied, and when he finds the bullies, he burns their house down.
You know what? I respect it. He's a homie, man. He knows what's up.
Drampa, a real one.
All right, this might be the last one until we get the booster box. The booster box. So this is gonna be our last one, and then we're gonna wait for the other ones to come in. Have you had Drifloon? I don't. Why do I feel like I did? I don't know.
Oh my god.
I gotta check.
We'll talk about Drifloon when we get to it.
Okay, then I definitely didn't. Why are there so many rules on opening Pokemon cards? Okay, wait. Sorry, I'm supposed to do normally.
It's because of the way they're like ordered in the package. It's for a maximum, the best experience, so that you get the good ones last and the bad ones first. That's it. Yeah, it is for just for dopamine. All Pokemon card openers are just addicts.
We're just
waiting for the next
gamblers.
hit.
You guys made fun of me for Balatro? Look at this shit. I feel like this is gambling right here.
Get ready.
Okay, so put this away. Put this to the bottom. So this is probably an energy card, right? So if I just go...
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so scared of just... Okay, thank God it's energy. Okay. Okay. And then we just flip it. Okay.
Whoop-pow.
Whoop-pow.
Oh,
Alright. Another Finizen. Wait a minute. Was that
that's
the...
the pre-evolution.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was the... Yeah, because Finizen, then it's a superhero. Okay. Alright. Dolphin, yippee. Bronzor.
there we go.
I've never seen this.
That's the pre-evolution to the Big Bell one we forgot earlier.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh shit, Bayina.
Mariana. Ah,
I know.
I love that big dog.
That looks good. I like that. I like that a lot. Remember the dolphin presentation? I do remember the dolphin presentation. There's a Pokemon. A Puccina evolution. Is it a Puccina? Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, so we have it. There
Yeah,
you go.
it is.
Yeah. Duo. It's Duolingo. It's
Duocean.
Duolingo. It's just Duolingo.
It's
It's
no.
fucking Duolingo. It's green and shit. Like, it almost looks like a bird. It's Duolingo.
Okay, whatever. It's Duolingo.
Alright, we got Duolingo. Go.
There we go. Go lurk.
Go lurk. Oh, look at that. Holy shit, he is
He's
giant.
fucking huge. Yeah.
Bro, he is
I
big
love him.
boy. Holy fuck. We got a lot of evolutions
goes
for a
from-
lot of them.
He goes from just a little guy to a huge man.
Huge man. Alright. Next one is Shaman.
Oh, that's good. That's a mythical Pokemon. It's in its This one has two forms. One is like a little hedgehog, and the other one is like this form, the sky one.
Oh, also Fortress. I like this how this one looks out, to be honest. This looks really cool. It looks
He's
like a turret.
I love you. It is a turret. That's what it is.
Oh.
It just like shoots random shit out of its cannons. and
Flip
kills
3
people.
coins. I gotta get a
That's it.
coin. Shit. Bianca's Devotion. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon that have 30 HP or less remaining. Okay. Okay. That's actually... Yeah, okay. It's like a mass heal. Doesn't sound very good, though.
Oh,
I thought that's a scoliosis. Solosis. Sorry. Fuck. What about Duolingo to scoliosis? I think it's the same Pokemon,
this
too.
Pokemon, yeah, it is.
That's so
It's the
funny.
pre-evolution.
Okay. And the last one is Roaring Moon.
Sick as fuck.
Look at that. That looks pretty.
It's a big dragon boy. I love him.
There you go. We got all our Pokemon. Well, we're waiting for the box. So, and then it came with like this thing.
Yeah, it's filled with just like a bunch of Pokemon you can use to build out your battle deck.
Okay. It goes into ancient box. What? Roaring Moon? Or we're talking about something. Sorry.
What goes in the ancient box?
Yeah. What's an ancient box? I'm very old, Chris. I'm very new to all this, so yeah. It's a type of deck. Oh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most Pokemon decks go based off like gimmicks. The one I like to use goes off of something called the Lost Zone, which is with Garantina and shit.
Okay. Miltank. Iron Thorns. Beldum. Wow, look at this
Oh,
one.
nice. It's chat. If you know, you know.
What do you know? In that Roaring
know-
Moon's case, it does more damage based on how many cards of the word ancient on top of the... Oh, okay. Stop, Jelly. Uh-oh.
Sparks knows.
You,
know.
you want to fuck this Pokemon, don't you?
No. Just let me find an image of it real quick. And
Oh, no.
You'll know.
Okay. Oh my god.
Uh,
Being friends with a furry be like...
Shut the fuck up. This isn't furry shit.
Mm-hmm. Miltank. Oh! Food! Good food! The other one's fuckable. Iron Thorns again. Metagross.
What do you... Okay, whatever.
Oh, look. It's Maridon again. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of duplicates in these ones.
Yeah, okay. There's another one.
So look at this picture, and you tell me what you see. Zoom in if you need to.
Oh. What the
Do you see it? Do you see it?
Yeah, I do. Why? Where is this from? Is this a trailer?
Yes, this is a trailer.
The
This is
fuck?
the announcement trailer.
Why did they do it like that? Sorry for nerding out.
I don't
No,
know.
old Chris, you're good, man. No, I'm glad you're nerding out, dude. Thank you. I'm like learning. I'm like a baby. I don't know anything that you like anyone's talking about, so I'm just learning. Also, yeah, and what the
Yeah.
fuck is this?
Well,
Oh god, we got ads.
They
Oh
made-
fuck.
some design choices. Just leave that there. You know, it's fine. Let the people who have ads know what's going on.
Okay, well, we'll look at this penis for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Great timing for ads.
Sparks, I'm not denying you. It is a cool ass motorcycle. It becomes a cool ass bike, but also penis. So. Oh my god. Here's the other thing that came up when I fucking.
So you
Googled
tell
that
me you
image.
can ride on this penis. I see. Thank you, Roses.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
Interesting development.
Don't show this on stream, by the way.
Oh no. It's so big. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Oh, the Maridon one. Did you know that they're making Toyota is creating an actual motorcycle for that bike?
Oh,
for that
ow.
Pokemon?
Wait, really?
Yeah, a real life motorcycle.
That's cool as shit. Old Chris, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome to the stream.
There it is.
Okay. I feel bad because all these cards are not sleeved now. And I don't want them to just rattle around somewhere.
Well, they're not important. Nobody cares about them.
What do you mean? Look at all these great cards.
They're cool, but they're not like. If you go to a card raider, they're gonna be like, "What did you bring me? This is bullshit. Get out of here."
I'm gonna suck a dick. How about that? Part of the cards or whatever the fuck.
The card, more like the cards have their own heartbeat. Well, good night, Stray.
I can
Have a
actually
nice
put this
week.
in a box like this. And use it like
Yeah.
a deck box.
That's what they're for.
Oh, pfft.
What did you think they were there for?
I thought they were just fancy and shit. I didn't think they were actually gonna be fucking like, okay, look man, my bad, shit. Let me add that of the Colt 45 song. What the fuck are you? What is my chat going through right now? So how much are these cards? These three?
These three? The ulterior one is worth like 98 cents.
The what?
Legitimately.
98. This was 98 cents. All right.
Yeah.
What about Ferrograph?
I can Google it.
Yeah, can you Google it? I'm curious. I love how you guys are like flipping out about this. So it's just 98 cents. The giraffe is $5.50 mint. That's what somebody said.
Is it? Oh yeah, they're correct. Oh, that one's a good one then. Anything that goes over like $3 is pretty nice.
That's pretty awesome. Bye Jelly, bye Chat, bye Pixie. Yeah, that's awesome. I guess energy cards are like dirt cheap because they're just energy cards.
What do you mean dirt cheap? They're not even cheap. They're worth nothing. Actually nothing.
Are you serious?
Well, unless it's a fairy energy card. Now, if you don't know, way back when Pokemon X and Y came out, they made an edit to the Pokemon trading card game where they added the fairy type.
Right.
They stopped doing that when Sun and Moon came out. And they stopped making fairy type Pokemon cards altogether.
Wait, hold on. Fairy type cards don't exist anymore?
They don't exist anymore.
Wait, the fairy type doesn't exist anymore.
Nope, it doesn't exist anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea. They just stopped doing it.
The
They
fuck?
didn't feel like doing it anymore.
Not in TCG. Oh, but in the game
Yeah,
it still
they're not
does.
legal.
But not in TCG. Why? What the? Why? What was the? Is it because they had to reprint shit or what happened?
It might have been like the competitive scene. It might have been too powerful, or maybe or something shit like that. I don't know. Yeah, they hate fairies.
They hate fairies. They hate gays.
Because they're Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah. Fate Twink. Thank you so much for.
I'm sorry, Fate Twink. I'm sorry.
Holy
They
gold.
took away your card.
They took away your card. I'm sorry, Twink. You got neutered.
You got castrated.
So is it technically banned then if it's not made anymore?
Yeah, it's banned from competitions.
So then what the
So
fuck's
if
the
you
point?
find a
It's not.
fairy
It's
type-
worthless, no?
No, they're actually worth way more because they don't make them anymore. They're rare as fuck. They're for collector's items.
Oh.
So if you find them in the wild, you better snag them quick.
Find one on the street.
I remember I found a tin of fairy type Pokemon cards at my friend's old Walgreens, but I didn't buy them because I didn't have the money for it. When I came back and they were fucking gone, I was so pissed.
Oh no.
Yeah, Chris, you're right. Weirdly, there is a dragon type, but no fairy type.
I'm gonna stop recording so my editors don't have to deal with this. My poor editors, man. My poor editors.
You got them on a whip, on a leash.
I'm giving them a job. What do you mean? A whip.
A job, you're keeping them in your basement in a sweaty little workshop.
I still pay
editing your
them.
videos 24 hours. Pay them what? Pennies?
No, they're
Do you pay
fucking. They're the wage that they asked for. Actually.
Do you pay them 1 penny a day like you do roses? Do you do that?
I can know way more. It's poor roses.
Oh my god. So fuck roses then.
Fuck
okay,
roses
I see how it is.
specifically.
Man.
Poor roses. Rose, I'm sorry. Oh, you think it's a penny a day? Girl, no, it's a penny a year. Yeah.
I forgot it. It's a penny a year. Not even a penny. American like rates to Canadian. It's like half.
It's like a rupee.
Less than a penny.
Chad, if you don't know, roses is I'm not even joking. Legally binded for me to pay them a Canadian penny every year. That is their yearly salary.
Man, Rose is starving. Come on.
Not enough. Not enough starving yet.
What's the Christmas bonus? $1 like cut in half?
$1!
God, you greedy bastard.
You greedy
Fuck,
bastard. Ah! Bitch, excuse the fuck.
the fuck out of me.
And then he turns around and asks me to buy a math. I'll buy it myself. I'll buy my. You just messaged me like. You just like. I'm not even joking. Rosa has the most cryptic fucking communication. Literally sends me 5 links. I said, okay, okay, never mind. I did it. What did what? What did you do? Like, I don't know what the fuck you did. What did you do? You bought them?
Man,
and then when I asked the
you don't
question, did you
appreciate
buy
us.
them? And your answer was, what do you want? Do you want me to buy it for you? Like, what the fuck do you mean?
Matt, stop trying to explain yourself away.
No. Rosa just said, okay, done. After 5 links. I thought you would like it. No, okay, but what does okay done means? Oh, okay done, like I'm done posting links? Is that what you mean? Okay done?
I thought it meant okay done as in, okay, I bought it. I'm doing it.
Okay, you see what I mean? Okay, we all don't. Yeah, see? Yeah, no, apparently Rosa's meant the other one. Of like, I'm done posting links. See, so everybody got wrong. Jelly, goddamn you, you bitch.
God, Roses, I'm sorry.
You cryptic
Okay,
motherfucker.
No, fuck you. I'm unionizing against you. I want pay. I want equal pay. Equal pay.
I almost said something really bad.
Oh my god.
I really like this card though, Iron Hands. I really like this one. You can only have, I think the rules state you can only have one DX, EX, whatever the fuck. EX card?
No, you can have like 2.
2?
Well, actually, you can have as many as you want.
But I think if they
But
die,
each-
it's like 2 lives instead of 1,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
It's 2 lives. And you lose once your opponent picks
Yeah,
up
Iron
6
Hands
cards
EX.
from the prize deck.
Iron Hands EX. Iron Hands EX. So it's basically like go big or go home kind of ordeal.
Mhm.
That's probably
It's
the
like I
last card
said-
you want to play, yeah? Pick
Yeah.
up the Fedoraf and then... And look at the bottom right corner.
What's wrong with the bottom right corner?
When your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. Oh, so instead of 1, you take 2.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think I remember something. You put like a bunch of prize cards on the right side and then they take it. I think it's when you run out,
Yeah.
you lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, is that
Yeah,
how card
that's why
fight?
I-
Chat, is that how card fight went? Not chat. Fucking one person. Sparks only knows. Oh wow, Iron. Oh my god, Iron Hands EX looks sick. Oh,
Wait, show me the picture. Yeah, that's the good one.
dude, look at that. That looks
most-
pretty.
Most
Chad,
of
look
these
at that.
cards will have a normal variant, a foil, and then a full art. The full arts are the really rare ones that go for money.
How do I check? Are links admissible here? Yeah, I mean, fuck, are they mods? You tell me. Yeah, fuck it, good enough. Give me that.
Are what admissible?
This one's a funny one. What is this? Holy shit! It's $18. Wait, that's so funny. What the fuck is
Why the fuck
that?
Is he? Oh, he's just running.
He's just
through the
running and
walls.
fucking he's running down. He's running the fuck down, bro. Where are you
I told you,
going?
the full arts cost a lot of money, man.
It's
They're
18.
good.
It's $20 for this one. Wait, that is so dude, I want this. Bro, I want
buy
this
it.
card. I'm just gonna buy this one. Fuck me. Dude, that is a funny ass card. Just running it down like, You look at that. And this one that came out in Prismatic.
That's just a T-pose.
Oh, that looks. Okay, that looks fucking
The art is cool as
trippy.
fuck. I have to show you the Legends Arceus, like, god, deity cards. They were fucking amazing. They're peak.
Rosa sent me this. Oh, okay, that's literally the same one. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I don't know. This one just fucking I don't know. This one just gets me. I think I spiritually just connect with this card a little bit. Circle, have you tried the Pokemon TCG mobile? No, I haven't. Okay, let me since we're waiting and stuff, like for like the other cards to come in. Let me download right now. Or
Officer Balls.
Officer Balls.
I never actually tried it.
Jelly, I have a full art VMAX Aggron and a full art basic Mimikyu V. Both have the foil on them. Do you think those would be worth anything or no?
You were asked a question, Jelly.
Oh, what's the question? I wasn't paying attention.
Lazarus did 100 bits for it. Jelly, I have a full
Wow.
art VMAX Aggron and a full art basic Mimikyu versus V Both have a foil on them. Do you think those would be worth anything or no?
Full art? Let me look them up. I haven't seen those yet.
I'm kind of tempted to, like, I've always wanted to get into like trading card games just for the fun of it. I feel like that's going to be like the thing that I'm going to spend a lot of money on. People thought cards are shit. Nope. Circle, this is the one where the competitive and standard cards in. The other one is their gacha game. Oh. TCGPokemon.com ENT. So this one. Okay. So, trading card game live. Okay, that's the one that says on the card. Okay, cool. Got it. On it right now. Trading...
Oh yeah, I have this. Actually, I have the same one you do. It's worth like $3. The Mimikyu one. I don't know about Aggron.
So not Pocket. The one that says TCG live. Okay, got it.
TCG Live is the one where you scan in like QR codes from the card that you get in the back of the decks.
Okay, and Pocket is the one that's a gacha game.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
But Lazarus, I have the same Mimikyu card you do. Last time I checked, it was like $3. But I still like it for this Mimikyu. It's my favorite. Okay.
I always loved Pokemon on phones. There's something about Pokemon being on your phone because, like, it feels right. Right? Because it was always on the 3DS and the Game Boy. It was always like some portable fucking thing, right? But then when, like, it comes out, like, on your phone and shit, I don't know, like, look at it. It just looks like it just looks cool as shit. And it just looks right. Right? Like, am I the only one? Like, just, I don't know. I feel like if Pokemon was just more on, like, phones, I think it'd be even more popular than it is before. Maybe
I'm biased because my first ever Pokemon game was on the Switch. But I like it on, like, the handheld consoles, not phones.
Well, mine was the Emerald. That was my first one. And that one was sick. Like, it was great. Like, it was really fun. But the problem is that, like, again, this is my age talking, chat. Like, again, I'm like fucking 10 years older than this motherfucker. So, for me, back then...
ancient.
Yeah, like, ancient. Fuck you. But, like, back then... right, like, if you guys ever played the Game Boy, we didn't have any wireless compatibilities unless you have, like, a wireless adapter. But everybody else also has to buy the wireless adapter. Or somebody carries around, like, a cable that you plug in both Game Boys together. Which, by the way, I thought was sick as shit. I thought it was even fucking cooler than the wireless adapter because, like, I don't know, it's cool to just plug shit in together. If you guys ever watched this, like, very old Mega Man show, it was like specifically, I don't know what it was fucking called, but the Mega Man show was, it was, oh my god, I'm trying to remember. These are daily dose. Here's the one newly printed cards. I gotta see this. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, I hate these cards.
I don't like it. It looks like... Okay, maybe I'm gonna...
No, you're not being weird about it. It's bad.
I don't like it. It's giving AI. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Lisha. Thank you that you said that. It's giving AI. It's giving AI.
Hold on. I need to show you Wigglytuff.
I don't like this. I don't know why. It's a cute Pokemon, but I don't feel the art. Again, this is the shit that makes me go like, oh, this is hilarious and adorable as a motherfucker. But not this one. I don't feel this one.
I sent you Wigglytuff, and I want you to tell me what that reminds you of.
Wigglytuff? Hold on.
Yeah, scroll down past the cool ones to the bad one.
Oh, ew, that's even worse. The fuck is that? No, okay, that's just chat. This is bad, right? Like, we can agree that this is bad, right? What is that? Stop. Yeah, Jesus indeed. Ew. It looks like... Why does it look like it has like a fucking 5 o'clock shave? Sorry, a 5 o'clock shadow shave. There's no shave. Oh, I really don't like that.
5 o'clock shadow. That's it. Hold on. Let me show you what this reminds me of.
Okay, I'm sorry. What the fuck is this?
Okay, yeah. If you scroll up to the like, individual images, they're sick as fuck. They're fucking awesome, and I love them.
Whoa. That looks sick. Damn. These are beautiful. Bro, that's pretty. Shit. Okay, man. You know what's sad? Chat. If you guys have... Oh, hold on. You know, I'll patch you into the mic for a second here.
I absolutely adore
never
the
mind.
Pokemon cards where the Pokemon is crocheted.
What do you mean?
I
never
think
mind?
it's the
What do you
neatest
do?
and cutest thing ever.
Okay, alert.
Absolutely.
Alert is done.
Okay.
Yeah, can you show me the crochet one? I'm curious. That sounds hella cute. Sorry, I'm so silent.
Oh, the crochet. The
Uh-huh.
crocheted ones are made by a specific artist that I love. The cutest ones ever. They're adorable. But keep talking.
Oh, I'm just logging into this app chat. Give me a second. Can I have spaces in my screen name? No. Can I just put? God damn it!
Yet again, you're gonna do the long ass sentence of "Circuit the robot."
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Barely fits on the screen.
Oh, it just restarted me. Why the fuck is this an X button? Ah, fuck you.
Some of the VMAX ones have amazing art. I'd say check me out, but up to you.
Check what out? VMAX, I'd say check me out. Check you out? What?
I think they mean check it out.
Oh, check it out, okay. What the fuck is that?
V
Wait, that looks
do you
hilarious.
mean, what's
Wait,
that?
look, yeah, look at this one. Oh, the fuck?
What are you looking at? Oh yeah, they're the cutest
That is
motherfuckers ever.
cute. That's
I love
cute.
them.
Look at that. I'll check it out in a second, Lazarus. Sorry, give me a second. I'm trying to log into this stupid thing. Hold on, Pokemon. Chat, how are you?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on? I don't fucking know life. I'm not a streamer. I don't know how to do this shit. You do something. I don't know.
You're doing your best, buddy. Hold on, let me just log into this really quickly. Yes, I accept the use. Yes, I accept this. My name is Circuit the robot.
Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure, Mark?
Oh, hi, Mark. How's your sex life?
What the fuck?
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's a reference
To what?
to like one of the worst movies ever. Your username cannot be the
That
same as your
doesn't
screen
help.
name. What the fuck do you mean? Why is my username? What the fuck is going on? Okay.
Jelly
The
homework
Room?
time, watch the room.
Oh my god, that's what you're referencing?
Yeah.
I've only seen like the clip that's like fucking I did not hit her.
Yeah,
I did not
that
hit
one.
her.
Yeah.
I've only seen that one.
Oh my god, I have to do the most head-ass fucking username. Oh my god. And then I have to go to my email chat. This is the most difficult I've had making an account, I'll be honest with you. P for Pokemon, P for piss.
P for Peony.
Peony! Pinor.
Peony. Pinor. I have to show you the Sylveon one. Sylveon EX. I want it so bad. It's
Wait
so
for
pretty.
Onga to just start talking about the... You know.
Yeah, docking and whatever.
No, the... What they want to do to...
Is the fish?
The fish? No, the fucking... I'm sorry, the fish? No, the fucking Sylveon or whatever her name is. Vaporeon?
No, Vaporeon.
Vaporeon.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Chad, we have a friend, he's
No.
he's unhinged.
I thought you were talking about like what he wants to do to you, like you're a shark. And he's, like,
Excuse
the
me?
fish
Okay,
that, like,
no.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Why are you like this? Oh
Well,
my
I
god,
like this
I
ass
finally
fucking
got
number.
into the fucking app. That was the most difficulty I've had getting into this. The Piplup incident. The what?
Oh my god, I forgot
How
about
many
that.
incidences are there?
Can we, let's not talk about it. Let's not get into it. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk. Oh wait, you could download this on your computer.
Yes.
Oh my
Did-
god, I would have done
did
that
you-
and fucking logged. I thought it was. Oh my god. Oh my
You're
god,
fucking
what the
stupid.
fuck am I doing?
You're fucking stupid. I hate you.
Oh my
Fuck you.
god, what's the point of me using my fucking phone?
Who's this brown man?
Just say that.
Who is he?
That's what Jelly sees. First thing he says. Jelly, can't just say that. Look, man, I get your fucking, I get your BIPOC or whatever the fuck, man. You can't just say that.
Bro, I can't say if it's true.
What's this brown man? Jesus Christ.
Who is
Me
he?
turning around looking at you. What'd you say? Oh my god, it's telling me how to look now. Oh my god, what is this?
It's telling you how to look, like with your eyes.
Yeah, with my eyes. Yeah.
Why you like this?
Circle check these ones out. Okay, sorry. By the way, Katana, thank you for the 100 bits. Just randomly giving it to me. Thank you so much. There's no message. Ooh, what the fuck? Ooh. Okay, these look pretty. Wow, look at that. Buy shot. Whoa, Blaziken! My beloved!
Yeah, Blaziken looks. Yeah, but did you look at the rainbow one? Bitch.
Damn!
That's why when you find the rainbow ones, you better
Oh my
lock it
God.
up tight.
Chat,
Those are
I
fucking
listen to me,
rare.
chat. I need you to listen to me very careful. I don't give a fuck which Blaziken I get. I need Blaziken. He was my first Pokemon. He was my first ever Pokemon. Because I played Emerald. And he gave Blaziken. It's I want this. Okay, here are the two ones I want. Because and then Echo showed me this other one. What the fuck is it? It's like, this is giving you energy. And I'm like, now I want to get this Pokemon. But Blaziken is the first ever Pokemon that I've ever had in my entire life. Like, this is the first Pokemon that was, like, exposed to me. That is a lot of porn. What the fuck?
That was exposed to you and what the fuck are you talking about?
No, not porn. No.
Cut the cameras.
No,
Cut
this
the
one.
cameras.
Chat, what's one? Meltan and this one.
Melmetal.
Melmetal.
And Melmetal.
Melmetal.
Yeah, Melmetal.
Bro, look at this cute shit.
The fuck ass thing about that one is that you can only get it in Pokemon Go for a limited time, and then it's gone forever.
I don't give a fuck about Go. I want the card. But yeah, like, those are the two Pokemons that's like a must need for me. I don't give a shit about everything else. I don't give a fuck about Charizard. I don't give a fuck about everything else. Those two. It's a must. I need it. I need it. I fucking need it. Oh my god. Wow, this is an interesting...
What do you mean? What's wrong with it?
Hold on, I gotta log into this weird-ass program. I need my stupid-ass Whoppers. Wow, his mousepad is nasty. I literally just cleaned it. Like, see? No, see? Barely any
So
scratches.
because you like eat food all over your mousepad or whatever.
It's not even that dirty, you see? If I scratch it, barely anything showing up. That's how you can tell if it's dirty. If you do this, and it's like really white, that's a lot of dirt. Then you gotta clean
Like the ashy test, like when the skin is dry and you scratch it and you can play tic-tac-toe.
it. What? No, I don't know what you're talking about. What the fuck are you talking about? You say, oh, your ass cheeks?
Specifically, no, ashy.
Ashy. They used to play tic-tac-toe on your ass cheeks. I was like, what?
Oh my god. I think it's specifically like a black thing. Or like people
I
with
didn't
darker
even
skin.
go there. Oh, what?
What do you mean? It's a thing with people with darker skin. When we get ashy, you can like scratch
Oh,
your skin and it gets gray.
How did you even? Okay.
What the fuck is? Oh my god. Move on. It's over. Get out of here. Oh my god, you guys, I'm looking at his full legal name right now. He's doxing himself to me. Oh my god. His social security card is 123.
Okay, what is this?
What is that?
I'm Professor Fear. Welcome to the Pokemon. Let me get a better look at you. I'm a black woman.
Is that what you look like?
Apparently. Just your own style. Click on when you're done. Okay.
You're a low poly black woman. A woman of color.
You're a
That's
low
what the
poly
math-
black woman. Yeah, man.
Oh, does this game have like a glitch where the hair and eye color changes?
I have no idea. Fun fact: your character gets randomly changed. Will get randomly changed hair or eye color. What? That sounds kind of funny. I'll be honest with you. Poses.
Pose? What?
What's this?
Oh,
that's
poses.
the gender.
I
Oh
think
my
it's
god.
poses.
That's a.
Why are your lips so plump? Oh my. Oh, good god. I know I was not ragging on you about the fat lips, but I think that's too small. I think you need to go
What
with the
is
bigger.
that face? Overlord lips. Hi, how
Oh.
are you?
You look like Jeffree Star. You look like Jeffree
I have
Star.
no idea what that is. Sounds like a porn star. Is it actually a porn
Well, he's
star?
almost there.
Oh, okay.
No. Oh, Icarus, you're right, Ollie London. He looks like fucking Ollie London. Oh,
We gotta get Echo here.
get
in
it
here.
out of here. Can we?
Echo, do you
Can
want to get in
Echo
this
come
call?
here? Echo, please. Please come hang out with me. It's lonely here without
Everybody's
you.
saying
I don't know.
jail. What's going on?
Jail.
Jail.
Oh yeah, cause he does. I hate it. Yeah, because he looks like Ollie London, and they're like jail, cause fuck Ollie London.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's like, you know, transracial.
No.
It's when somebody is like, "Oh, I was born a white person, but I'm gonna transition into a black person." That's what he did with
You
Korean.
can't, that's not how that works. What are you? What?
That's what everyone fucking said, but did he listen to them?
You can't
No.
just do. I'm sorry. This is cute. Hold on, chat. Look at this. This is cute. Look at this Sylveon. Oh, that's
Exactly.
cute.
That's you fucker. That's what I sent to you.
Yeah, sorry. I just saw it. I have a lot of screens in front of my face right now.
I want it so bad. I want it so bad.
Chat, this is me IRL.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's you
god.
holding up Northern.
Yo. Bro, why does he look cross-eyed
Oh.
here? I hate all of this. Why does it have to load every time I change a fucking kid? Bro, what is this skin color?
Because the Pokemon games are already shitty. You think this one's gonna be any better?
I never played a Pokemon.
Yeah, they've gone downhill. I'm sorry to say.
Oh god. Is it even worth like... Okay. I feel like I just downloaded a virus, chat. I'll be honest with you. I just downloaded a virus.
Wait, zoom heck out. Why does the jacket make it look like he has tiny legs?
Oh my god, you're right. What the fuck? What the hell?
Yeah, dressed like a heterosexual.
You
Go ahead, keep going.
I don't know what the...
No, it's a Christmas. What do you mean? What's wrong? It's a Christmas sweater.
The fuck? Chat, you seen this shit? Circuit face reveal.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's okay. That's your face. Yes, I can confirm, chat. Underneath the mask is just.
It's just
Ollie
that
London.
fucking dumbass face, yeah. What in the hell?
That's kind of sick. I'm not gonna.
Bro, I don't want to pick anything here. I'll be honest with you. These are all poor fashion choices right now.
It's a Pokemon game. They always have shit fashion choices. They haven't had good shit since fucking X and Y.
Yeah, X and Y was good. That was the last one I played.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the
It's all
fuck
downhill
is
from
this?
there.
What is this? I think this is the best I can get. Oh, okay. Well, why, dude? Why is this? Why is the shirt like low poly, chat? Come on, Circus Surf cunt. What's the most ridiculous shit we can wear? Probably this, right?
I think that's cool if you style it correctly.
Sure. Let's make a. You know what? It's probably at the bottom for it to fit. What is this?
We'll try the pink one.
Bro, what happened
Why
to
does he have
What's going on with this? What is going on with his legs? Bro, you gotta go to the hospital. What is this? What happened to your knee? What's going on? His bones are like a fucking C curve, dude.
It's not even the knees. It's like his femur broke in half.
Thank you, Rosie. Try the clown one. The what?
The clown. Is that the one at the bottom? The beige one? Second to last. No, that looks
The
stupid.
fuck? I don't... What were they What happened to the...
Put the shorts on. Let's see what the legs...
I was
what
gonna
the
say...
fuck?
Oh!
Oh my god!
Oh
Holy
my
shit.
god! Oh my god! Yo, he's just... Jesus Christ!
What the fuck?
Oh my god, bro! Yo, he's a fucked up, dude!
Bro, that's actually shaped like a... That's like a bass clef. That's what the shape is.
A base... Bro, it's like the scoliosis for your fucking legs, man. What the fuck is this?
Oh my god.
Oh, hi, Riz. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Riz. Hi. He's got
Bro,
more
even the
angles,
baggy
like-
pants look wrong. Oh my god, just put something. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know what to put on. I don't know. Just yeah,
you
that
know,
perfect. Cover
there.
it. Yeah, that's good. We don't need to see any of that. We don't need to see your condition. Okay, we're good. What the fuck is this character? His face. Is he cross-eyed now, or am I just crazy? He looks cross-eyed with the glasses.
Oh my god.
Am I just crazy? He looks cross-eyed as soon as he puts on the glasses. Am I chat? Tell me I'm crazy.
No, he looks insane. You're not crazy. Hi, Riz. Circuit's trying to play the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, we just opened some packs. Oh my god, get these glasses off. Yeah, you see the eye twitch, right? Yeah, there was eye twitching and shit.
Wait, hold on. Go back. Let me see the eye twitch. I don't think I saw it.
Give it a second. Is he not twitching his eye now?
Oh my! I saw it. I saw the eye
Okay, I
twitch.
missed it. Holy shit. His eyes are giving Sid the Sloth. Oh my god, you're right.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay.
I look like a sociopathic homeless magician.
You look like a sociopathic homosexual homeless magician.
Let's not slander homosexuals now. Wait, so we can battle? I don't fucking know. Yes. Oh, with real cards? Yes. Because I bought a bunch. Like, sorry, Briss, I'm waiting for the other packs, but we just opened some, like, a bunch. Like, a couple of packs, and we're waiting for more.
Riz, do you have this game too?
So when will you play Pokemon Showdown? Isn't this Pokemon... What am I playing right now? What's Pokemon Showdown?
This isn't Showdown. This is Pokemon TCG Live.
What the
This
fuck is
like
Showdown?
I don't know. I don't keep track of like the trading card game apps because I don't give a shit about
How many apps are there?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Pokemon.
Where's the first time chatter that knows a lot about Pokemon? Where is he?
I know Pokemon Showdown. Pokemon. Okay, let the details.
Where's Crest?
Wait, the Gengar hat.
Crest, can you help us?
I
Wait,
still can't-
the Gengar hat?
Here, the details.
Crest, are you here?
But Pokemon Showdown is the battle simulator. It's not for the cards. It's for the games. Like,
Oh, okay. Showdown
It's
is not
not
TCG. It's a website for free. Oh, got it.
You can-
Okay, okay.
It's a free website. You can play whenever you want. You don't have to pay for anything. And you get all the Pokemon from all generations, all the items, all the
Bro,
abilities. You
this
just got
guy.
your own team.
Okay, this hat and his eyes looks like he just did a bunch of meth, and is like, yeah, man.
He's on his way to the methadone clinic from his like back alley hookup to get that.
Yeah, so the
real
back
meth.
alley hookup is like a Pokemon, yeah. So it's a fucking Lopunny in the back alley of a Walmart.
Back alley of a wall.
The
He
low
begged
putty
the
in the
low
back
putty,
alley of a
please.
Walmart.
We
Yeah.
already knew that.
Just
Yeah.
4 rare
You still live
candies,
a life
and
that you dread.
I'll eat you out. Please, just 4 rare candies.
There was a hat
Oh my
near the
God.
bottom that looked like Gonga.
So, Gonger! Wait, Joe, did you see the drug dealer game? Everybody's playing it.
I told him to play it, and he didn't want to. Well, people told him
No,
not
no,
to
that's
do
a
it.
lie.
I told
Everyone
him.
told me to not play it. I was ready to play it. Everyone was like, don't play it. You can't. I was like, okay.
I said you should play it. I said
You're like one of the very few. I don't care about this This customization is bonkers, dude. I've never seen this.
Sir, you have to play the drug deal game with wrist now. You gotta.
Why is that selected? What?
I just ate a whole bottle of ketchup. What the fuck?
What? That's my default selected. I didn't even pick it. It was the first selected. Oh, let's keep
Prepare
it. Yeah.
yourself. I'm wearing my comfy shorts. I suppose I could use a warm-up round. I don't need luck. And just dot.
Just a bunch of
that's it.
ellipses. Strength is no match for wizard. Shut the fuck up. Water you think about having a shut. Oh my god. I see a new challenger.
Kill yourself.
We sure can. I won't harbor a grudge. I hate water-based Pokemon now. What the fuck is this?
Why are there so many water puns?
What's
I don't get
what's
it.
with the water? Yeah, we currently have no. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
Shut
What?
up.
Did somebody gave me the hydrate? Okay, dude. I don't know, man. Peer pressure is kind of shut. Except it's
Just
peer. It's the PIER peer pressure. Shut up.
Whoever made this like water a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Maybe a little too much.
I just have to think ketchup one is the most nonsense. Do
just
you
made a whole
even
bottle of
splash, bro?
Why are there so many water ones? I don't get it. There's other types, you know. There's other types.
I can't do this. I can't. Yeah, we'll just keep it. What's victory? Oh my god, shut up. It's not another water pen. Oh my god. Where's my bottle of ketchup?
Wait, looks like you didn't have enough.
Air in your
Okay, never
Diffloon.
mind.
Drifloon.
Drifloon.
Who wrote these? You gotta cringe, man. That's rude. Thanks for the practice with my new deck. That's rude as fuck. That was unnecessary. I'm a
Alright,
shoot.
Q-in.
I mean, with Eevee and the power of friendship, we could. I feel like this was borderline sexual. Vaporeon,
What do
whether
you-
that's storm. This is
No,
bad.
no. Go back to the Eevee one. It literally said the power of friendship.
Yeah, but
In
you know
what
how
way
weird
did you
people
think
are.
that
You
was
know how
sexual?
weird people are.
Get out. Leave. This is my stream now. Fuck you. Get out.
Okay.
Go leave. Get out.
I hate this. This game sucks.
This is
What
why
am I
don't play
looking
it.
at?
It's
This. I feel like most of the fun right now. The creator loved Vaporeon. Oh yes, he did.
Yeah.
I'll say this right now, chat. I feel like the only fun that we're gonna have in this game is the character select screen.
Yeah. Well, because when you go in to like scan the QR codes for the cards, it doesn't give you the cards that were in your deck. It opens it entirely. What the fuck? Okay, interrupt me in the middle of explaining the fucking game with your little gay ass star thing, whatever the fuck that was. Get the fuck out of here. God, I hate you. I hate you. You're so fucking stupid. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Jesus Christ. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm in tears again.
Shut the fuck up! Shut up now! It's taking over now. The gay ass fuck. Oh my god. Riz, Circuit is out of commission. Do you want to get in the call? Do you want to? Do you want to hang out and open Pokemon decks with us? Oh,
Oh, it smells like shit. Bro.
why does it smell like shit? Why did you shit yourself?
Rip Circuit,
Did you
he will be
shit- Did you
missed.
shit yourself? Okay, I'm gonna make a group chat and we're gonna get wrist in here if that's alright. Would you like that? Holy fucking shit. Holy fuck. Get up, bitch.
Oh my god.
Are you okay?
I'll be right back. I need some.
Bro. You see, Trap, this is what drugs does to you. This is what... he's in Minecraft, I'm joking, of course. Are you having a stroke? Maybe he is having a stroke.
Are you having a stroke?
Oh, I'm back.
Are you okay?
That's you like. It sounded like you were really believing that. Did you shit yourself? Like, bro, I'm sorry. I was dying because I don't know what was funnier, the pose or you just like mid sentence like stopping with the most nausea. What the fuck? It was fucking cute. I can't
threw
stop.
me off. What do you mean?
I can't tell. Oh my god, I'm so lightheaded, bro. I feel acid coming out of my stomach. Bro, the reason I smell like shit is because I let out the loudest fart while laughing. I'm so sorry.
What the fuck? You nasty ass fucking bitch. Fuck you.
I've never
Get out of
let
my
out a fart.
space.
This fucking, like, I ripped ass. I ripped ass so fucking hard for laughing.
Oh my god.
And I was about to say it for it, and you're like, did you shit yourself? I just couldn't.
So you fell off your chair, your cheeks clapped so hard you ripped ass. And then... You know
I
what?
ran it with Febreze.
You are foolish. This is some foolishness that
Well, you
I'm
already knew
not
that.
ready for.
You still live a life that you dread.
Damn, maybe we do need to put him in an old
Yes,
folks
we need to get
home.
you adult
Shut the
diapers.
fuck
bitch.
up, Maybear. Oh god, I'm good.
Are you good? Are you okay? Hello? Okay, well. He's
I
fucking
just
dead.
spat water all over my bed! No! I can't drink water! Oh my god, there's water all over the place! Oh my god!
What the fuck? Well, now the water puns make sense.
Oh my god! I spat so
God.
much! You said
Why
something,
you
I just
like this?
I'm just waterboarding myself. Oh,
Why do you like this? Why does this happen every time you call me on stream? This shit happened when we did fucking with that Zillow Gone Wild bullshit too. Fuck you. Why do you do this?
Well, you already knew that.
Oh my god, I got to get the VOD for
Still
that.
live a life
That
you
was
dread.
so funny. Bro.
Maybe we should get
Why you
Circuit
like
a sippy cup and bib.
Roses, I
You
beg of
okay?
you. We have to find that VOD. I need to give it to my editors. Oh, was that part of the subathon or no?
No, that was like a few days before it. It was
Okay,
that
I have
long
to have
12-hour
it.
stream.
Oh my god. Holy shit. I think I just did a workout. Oh my god, my abs hurt so much. Professor ripping abs. I thought you guys heard it. It was right out of the microphone, I'll be honest with you. I was on the bed and just ripped ass.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you still ripping ass? Is that what it sounds like when you're?
Stop,
when
let me drink
gas
water. Stop. You shit on the microphone.
Hey baby, you shit on that. Hey baby, come on, shit on that mic. Let me hear it clap. I want to hear it wet. Give me that wet
Your
blood
mic
fart.
just got pink eye. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is
You just
peak
get your mic
fucking
diseases.
premium content, dude. Oh my god. I can't breathe. Okay. We're still on the fucking character select screen.
Anyways, I was asking if you wanted to call Riz and have Riz.
Yeah, let's call Riz. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's call Riz. Hold on.
God.
We could... Oh my god. I'll add Echo just in case too.
why-
Fuck it. Oh god. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, I'm dying here.
Yeah, I can tell.
Hello. Hi, Riz.
You know, hi, hello.
I'm fucking dying.
Hi. Hi.
Bro, I can't. This game. This is the only as soon as we're out of character select screen chat, I'm done with this game. I don't think I'm gonna play it. Like, I'll be honest with you. I think I'm done. Shoes. Fuck.
I need to make you a ribbon now for your DreamHack badge that just has the ketchup line on it.
Where? What the fuck
Like
happened to his
like a
toenails?
pageant sash that just across his chest.
Oh my god, that's even better. No, have you seen the ribbon game? Like the badge ribbons that people get at cons? Here, hold on. Wait, I'll show you. Just in case. Gotta find it. Hi chat. I see all of you there.
What the
You're being
fuck?
very nice today. I can tell
Oh,
you're
is it
being
a
very
tutorial?
nice today.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're being
Oh,
they're
look
being
at you.
good today.
Wow, this game looks like
You're being
shit.
amazing. What
Yeah.
is this on?
The
This
PC.
is
No, is it its own
Hi,
client
Echo.
or? Hi.
Yeah, it's no client. Hi, Echo. We just called you anyways.
What are you doing?
We just wanted to say hi.
I ripped
And
ass
then
on
Yeah.
stream. I'll
Pokemon.
just give you that. That's it.
Ripped off on stream.
he shot himself on stream and asked if we could hear it. Which
Yeah.
I didn't ask. I literally just saw. I thought you guys heard it. That's it.
So what are you doing now?
why would
Playing
Playing
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
yeah. Also, why would you ask if it smells like shit if you know it's a fart? Of course it's gonna smell like shit, it's a fart.
I didn't ask
What
if
the
it
fuck is
smelled
wrong
like
with-
shit. I knew it smelled like shit.
Is
You
this
said,
all
why
the
does it
reason
smell
you
like
called
shit?
me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did say that.
Yeah. That's why we're here. We're here because of that incident. That instance. Yeah.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
This
10 out of
game
10, by the
looks-
way.
Might as well just play the card game.
Exactly. You might as well
I mean,
just play it
it is-
IRL because
It
this
is
is
the
stupid.
same.
Bro, I'm multi-foring from this.
Wait, have you done have you played the card game?
Like once when I was a kid.
Oh. Okay.
It's essentially just Magic, but Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is yeah, from what I've heard. We opened up a bunch of card packs,
Easier, isn't it?
like a
Oh,
lot.
what series? What series did you get?
Well, there's more coming, but I got these ones, Temporal and Paradox.
Oh, nice.
Hold on.
Here.
Let me see what's the one that Crow's bought.
I don't know which one Crow
Yeah,
bought.
Crow got Paradox Rift, the Roaring Moon edition, the Dragon one.
Yes, I
The
love
Roaring Moon. If I don't get fucking Blaziken, I'm gonna be so sad.
I don't think
got a
Blaziken is in
bunch
this
of
one.
the- What's the milk tank?
Or
Milk tank.
I got 2 Miltanks. One's a foil.
Good. Wonderful. I'm glad that you got the Miltanks. You have to get one of them graded and put into, you know, its wonderful little sleeve. That way you have it forever.
Punky said get the TCGP. Okay. Oh my
Hi,
god.
Punky.
And then, oh my god, look at this. This is what, sorry. Look at, look at this. That's cute.
What the fuck?
That is cute.
Oh, that's nice.
Aww.
Look at this one too. That is cute.
That is so cute. I love the Wooper.
Looper's adorable.
Palladian Wooper.
Thank you so
is
much, Sparks.
So much cuter though.
That's so cute. That's adorable. Oh my god. But yeah,
How many
so
packs did you open?
I opened 8
Jeez.
packs. It's 8 packs, and then it came with like 2 like just decks that you can just like break into. These are the ones like so. Yeah. Yeah. I pulled these ones. 2 Miltanks. One's a foil. One's not a foil.
Nice.
Dewblade. If I don't freaking, I just want 2. And I'll tell you, it's just 2 specifically that I really, really, really
Do you
want.
specific? Which ones?
It's Blaziken.
Mm-hmm.
And oh god, what was that? Echo, the one that Meltan,
Meltan?
yeah,
Meltan and
and
Melmetal?
Melmetal, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
I love
Those
them.
are good, but I don't think they're in the set that Crowbot. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
I'm sad.
I think there might be a Blaziken, but not the one that you want.
I don't care. I just want a Blaziken. Yeah, these are the rarest ones we pulled. We pulled this EX one.
The EX ones are nice. If the full art ones though, oh my gosh. Ooh,
They're
I love that
Rare
one.
and good.
I love that one. All right, well, my food is here. No, my food is here.
Yeah.
Did you order food, Riss?
I'm going to
Riss, I'm so excited to
strangle
meet
my
you.
husband.
We're gonna spend
yes,
all of
we
the
are.
time in the hot tub.
I know we're gonna rule the hot tub.
Oh
Everybody
god,
else
yeah,
can be
chat.
doing
We
their
have a hot
thing.
tub in Texas. It's over.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic.
If you don't do a hot tub
Everybody.
stream,
We're
I'm gonna
doing
riot.
we're doing a hot tub stream. We're doing a hot tub stream.
I'm trying to figure out how I can be involved in content, considering I don't, because I VTube.
You don't have to.
I'll figure it out. I want.
You can
to.
do
Are
the baby
kidding
no
me?
money
Oh.
route. Where you like have a tablet behind them and it's you and
Ooh,
like your VTuber.
yeah. There you go. We could do that.
Or
I
you just
say
give your robot
fuck
mask.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, or I just say fuck it and I just do a thing. Because, like, I did face cam for 5.5 years. So, yeah.
Up to
It's
you. No
whatever.
pressure.
Yeah.
Zatu.
No, I want to do fun stuff.
Zatu.
All right, I'm going to go eat my food because I
Go,
didn't
go.
think it was going to be here this fast. But, yeah, try not to rip ass again. But if you do, at least record it this time. They need
At least do it in my face
Look,
so I can.
look.
Like,
I mean,
So I can
whatever
recognize the
floats-
smell.
Whatever floats your boat, buddy. But yeah, it's you know, they need.
There's a
force
Blaziken in the
down
new
things
set
to
that
play
came out
with.
last Friday. I think that's the one we bought. I think. I hope. I don't know.
no. That's not.
Alright, bye.
Bye, Riz.
Bye.
I'm gonna also go watch Severance with my future husband.
Have fun. He's
Oh,
your
Echo,
husband.
You're what?
Have you caught up? Have you finished? Have you?
Yes, I finished it.
'cause
I
the
finished it.
finale.
Uh-huh.
The finale has released. It was a lot. They're already picked up for a third season.
I'm
Have you
going to
watched
be
Severance?
pissing myself. Yes, I'm gonna piss myself when we watch Severance.
Yeah, Circuit. Have you seen Severance?
No.
It's such a good show.
Okay, I gotta watch it then. Okay.
You have to. You'll love
I'm
it
so
because it's
annoyed.
basically just like ripping on 9-to-5 jobs, and you. Hate
Oh
9 to
great,
5s.
my favorite.
Yeah. But it also has a lot of really good commentary on capitalism and work life. There's so much that it's a good show. It's really good. Highly recommend. A little high concept.
Isn't what's his name? Who directed it?
Adam
Stiller?
Scott. Oh wait, no, you're right. Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller
Which
did.
is
Yeah,
crazy.
Ben Stiller directed it, and then he also directed what's that movie? Chat, where it's like a guy, the something Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh yes, The Secret Life of Walter
The
Mitty.
Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Yeah,
I think
that
that's
was
what
a
it's
really
called.
good movie. A lot of people really slept on that one.
I haven't seen that one. I've heard nothing but good things though.
It makes you feel like it's one of those movies that's like, yo, you gotta stop and like Like kind of like smell the roses like in your life kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to
About your life.
explain. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, you should watch Severance. It's a really good show. I'm gonna go watch an episode with Joe because he's catching up, and I want to be able to talk to him about the finale because the finale was really crazy.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Have fun.
Bye, guys.
Have fun,
Have a
guys.
fun
Bye.
stream. Have fun with your
Thank you.
Pokemon
Bye.
cards, your-
Yeah,
your
chat, we're just
silly
chilling
little
today. We're just
Pokemon.
vibing.
Bye, chat.
Oh god, abs.
bye.
Yeah, chat, I got bored. I just wanted to stream with you guys. Also, chat, if you
Always
guys don't
worth
know,
it.
this is what yesterday was like. If you guys don't follow my Blue Sky,
Don't show that on stream. You can't.
It's literally.
You
What do you mean I
can't.
can't?
I don't think that's TOS.
It's
Okay,
literally
never
all
mind.
TOS. Yeah, chat, this is what happened on Blue Sky. This is the aftermath of yesterday. I was so fucked up, dude. Dude, I was dead. Curl took that picture, by the way.
Bro,
I
he
was so
joined the
fucking
VC
gone.
after he got off stream, and me and him got into like a screaming match with each other.
Why?
Well, because you kept on saying like "suck my nuts," and I was not backing down, so I kept on yelling at you to suck my dick. And then Sam made that fuck ass art of us.
That's so funny. Holy shit. Put it on again? Go to my Blue Sky. You can just go see it yourself.
No.
The fuck?
Go to the Blue Sky Gooners, okay?
You gooners,
Get
yeah.
out.
This motherfucker was laughing at my typos. Bro, because your typos were even worse than mine. Like, you wrote cock, go, like Godurty, and then OS, and then RE. What the fuck is that sentence other than cock? Your cock is dirty? Like, what does that mean? Leave me alone.
Your cock is dirty? What?
She jork my gork.
Icarus. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Get out. Leave. Fuck you.
Did you just time? You timed out for 30 seconds. Oh,
Fuck you, Icarus. Fuck you.
oh my god, Icarus. Icarus, you're gonna get banned one day.
No, the funny thing is that we'll time out Icarus all we want, but we're never gonna ban him. We're never banning
Icarus is solidified as the person in the stream. As the,
He stays.
what's happening? We have Icarus. That's it. Icarus is now
I
immortal in the stream.
I love bullying Icarus.
Don't
Why
ban
else
me,
is he
mommy.
here?
Okay, I'm okay. Okay, you know what?
Okay, no.
Okay,
No,
you know what?
actually.
You know what? I'll do it this time.
See?
Yeah, you know what?
Girl, get out.
Okay, that was 75 seconds. I didn't even do that much.
Keep it cute. Keep it cute.
Keep it cute?
Yeah, it's like, don't do too much.
Hmm. Oh my god. Also, chat, I crashed out. Tekken got a new update. Worst fucking update in the world. Like, actually worst fucking update in the world. Like, it's so bad that if you go into here, like, it's super bad, chat. It's so fucking bad. Like, if you go to the store page on Steam, and you go to, like, Tekken. Oh, shit, the guys are... They're here. Right? Okay, well, take a look.
They're here.
Overwhelmingly negative reviews.
Man.
It's
they fucked up
bad. Oh, wait,
Tekken.
sorry. There you go. You didn't see. Overwhelmingly negative reviews. Look at this shit.
Isn't that just review bombing, though?
Yeah, because the patch was awful. I'm sorry. What is this?
She's the coordinator. You won. So it takes Caitlin. What the fuck? I'm deleting that. I'm sorry. No.
Hi, honey.
I don't know what that is.
All right, chat. We
I'm
got more
getting rid of
Pokemon
it.
cards. We're doing it now, anyways. Oh, Saturday. It was supposed to be tomorrow.
Actually,
No, Micah said no.
I'm just gonna ban you.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah.
All right, chat. This is the one. All right, new box, chat. New box.
This
Excellent,
one
yeah.
should come with the coin and the sleeves.
All right, let's start opening this one. All right. $90, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot, right?
What's that in Canadian? For me, it's like 40.
US is not that strong. $89.99.
No, I'm not kidding you. I go to GameStop, that shit is 40, but that shit is $40.
Oh, we got ads. Chat, we have ads. Hold on. I'm gonna play the ads. Yeah, we have to play the ads. Chat, we'll wait. We'll wait for you guys in 3 minutes. Unfortunately, you're gonna get... Yeah. Examine the box. I'm examining the box. I'm examining the box. I'm examining the box. What's up, Fusha? Yeah, if you don't want ads. Yeah. Behold the box. Behold.
The other one was Iron Valiant, the Gardevoir one. I told him to get the dragon one because I know that you're like, ew, girl stuff, fuck that. I want boy, dragon, whatever.
My bad. $64 USD. This, okay. You buy it?
Is it 64?
Yeah, 64 USD. Bad Dragon, Night Queen, Scarlet Witch. What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Bad dragon. Y'all keep it down.
Keep it cute. Maybe those are real good.
My trigger finger is still itchy. Be careful.
Bro, I got a little too itchy yesterday. That was funny.
Shut the fuck up.
Freaking banned somebody for a joke. That was so funny.
I thought it was a virus link, okay? It looked suspicious.
Okay, we got like 2 minutes. For, or minute
2
30
minutes
seconds.
until the...
Minute 30 seconds for the
Oh my
ads.
God. So how's your ass? How is it?
What the fuck? What's up, Fusha? Take a piss if you have it. Oh yeah, Chad, go take a piss if you have the chance.
Oh, I forgot.
The ads are over? Really? We still have a minute more for ads. That's so weird. They're like, we can't give too many ads to this, guys.
I'm behaving, you liar.
He's always holding the hammer on the other hand. And the sickle on one, yeah? Oh wait,
What the
ASMR,
fuck
here
is-
you go.
What?
Chat, here you go. Here's your ASMR. Am I doing it? Good lord.
Put the box down and leave the room.
Please look at the video I sent you on crying. Hold on. The fuck is this? The fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh, what
Oh
the
my
fuck
god.
is
No, you can't
that?
show that. You can't
I
show
don't
that.
even
You
know
can't
if I can show that.
Punky, what the fuck? Punky. That's
What
TOS.
the
What's wrong
fuck
with
is
you?
that? Is that?
Oh my
That's
god.
not real, is it? There's no way that's real.
No, you don't. That's not fucking real.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm
That's
curious. Okay,
somebody's,
how
like-
the fuck is it so foiled and shit?
Because people, you saw the foil, like, not the 4 cards I have. They look real.
I completely forgot about those cards, and now you just reminded me of it. All right, I think the ads are
People
done.
like-
Editors, please cut that out.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't know, up
I
to
was-
you.
I'm pretty sure that was AI shit too. I'm not gonna look weird.
No, that makes it even worse. Punky said some fucking shit there. I said look, not show it. Shut the fuck. You literally in chat said look at it. In my chat. Oh my god. What is this?
That's like the little like index of all the cards you can find in the book.
Oh
You
shit.
can
there's
skip like the
TMs.
end.
Oh, that's so pretty.
They have them separated by like type and shit.
Okay.
If you want to look through it, you can. That's what I usually do first. Just saying.
It's okay. It's good enough. It's a giant box, but they put this empty space in the middle. Kind of feels scammy, but okay.
Oh wait.
It-
Oh, the Pokemon box.
Okay. What the fuck? I'm sorry.
The empty space is for like the dice and shit. It is scammy. Don't worry. No, you ruined the synergy. Fuck you. You're not supposed to do that.
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to like unfold it, unfold the edges, and then open it.
Unfold the edges and then open. The fuck are you talking about?
Oh my, whatever. You ruined it. Keep going. Fuck you.
What did you call me?
Keep it moving. I didn't call you anything. I said keep going.
All right, here's the coins. Oh, the coins are pretty cool. Very simple.
Those aren't the coins. Those are
the fuck is this then?
the counters. They're status counters for poison and fire.
For the camera. Yeah, because the other cameras give me fucking problems. That's pretty cool. Okay. Counter, okay. There's like dice. Is it a bunch of D6s? Yeah.
It's well, they're dice, but they're also counters for like damage.
Oh wait, yeah, they are counters. Okay, there's like okay. All right. Okay, so there's card sleeves.
Cool as fuck.
There's there's a card. Oh, it's pretty. Look at that. Screamtail.
You won't put down the sleeve.
What? Already? Really?
Yeah, it's not that rare, but it's still a full art and it's a foil, so you're gonna want to put it in the sleeve.
Oh fuck.
Just to keep it.
It's
safe
already
and
in a
shit.
sleeve technically. Can I just leave it like this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like just leave it in the packaging. This is good. There you go. All right, we got dividers in the box. Hey, honey. I spilled some water. Not bad.
You want to tell him how you spilled the water?
No. Bunch of energy cards. Shut up. Are these just energy cards?
Yeah, it's just energy shit.
Just a whole pack of energy. Okay, let's just leave it alone. All right, so then. Are you sure
Does
there's
it
no?
not
I
come
don't
with
see
a
any
coin?
coin. Yeah, there's no coin.
Ah, fuck. I don't think it comes with a coin.
Apparently, that's not a coin. You could use that as a coin though.
You could use that as a coin. It's fine. Whenever we meet up, I can
No
lend you
coins.
my coins. I have a lot of them.
Okay, I'm down.
One competition, they got coin die.
One competition and one coin flip die? What? Hold on. Where's it say that? One competition legal coin flip die. Oh, die.
So this.
Die.
Die. Yeah, the dice, not the. Why is it competition legal? What the fuck?
The TCG competition is very peak, very big.
All right, so we got
Not
1,
just-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
9? That's a weird number that we use, but okay.
Yeah, they're weird about it. I wish they put more, but that's just expensive.
The logo is heads and the black is tails. See, that's what I thought, but he said no. I don't know. This is gonna take me a bit, chat. Oh, I got it.
Don't worry. Yeah, his little baby hands. They need time.
Apparently, be using scissors is sacrilege, chat. Fusha.
It is sacrilegious. What the fuck do you mean? You're gonna cut the cards like that.
All right, so now remind me.
It's the card. One card from the top to the bottom,
So like this, right? Like this one, put at the bottom, right?
and that's it. You may
Okay.
move.
All right, there you go. All right, basic energy. Another Zubat. Not two. Oh, Purloin. That's cute. Stampede, Cat Kick. Okay. Oh, Mienfoo again. Okay. Oh, Tinkaton again.
You're
That
gonna
big-
get a lot of duplicates.
Durant. Nobody
The
make a
ant.
basketball joke.
A what?
Kevin Durant.
Who's Kevin Durant?
The basketball player.
Nope.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Whatever. You're heterosexual.
Earthen
It's
Vessel.
fine.
I literally don't even watch
I
basketball.
forgive
I know
you.
who Kevin Durant is. How the hell do you not know?
That's because you're a heterosexual. I forgive you. It's fine.
Okay. Professor Sada's Vitality. It looks a little like, I don't know, foily or something.
Yeah, they usually. Did you skip a card?
Did I? No.
Okay, never know.
Shark Cadet. And last one is. Oh, that's pretty.
So yeah, it's the
Espathra.
foil version of Espathra.
That's cute. Okay. Probably not. All right, next one.
I'm missing my coin.
You're asking the gays about about basketball. Sylvie, I'm not really
Exactly.
asking gays about basketball. It's more like, I don't know, man. I feel like I don't watch basketball.
You're-
Even I know. Like it's something you hear
You're
on the off chance.
asking
So why one?
a gay furry
Just
who
people-
like favorite Pokemon's Incineroar about what basketball is. What's wrong with you?
Oh my god.
You think I'm watching basketball? Oh, is
You don't need. I don't watch basketball, but you're okay. But you're bisexual. I don't watch basketball. It's just something you hear like people talk about.
No.
What do you mean no?
Nobody talk
No.
about basketball, man.
Okay, maybe it's a Toronto
Nobody
thing.
gives a shit.
Everybody in Toronto likes to talk about basketball in school.
Promise the only city that has a basketball.
maybe you're
Yeah,
just
and they're
weird.
they won the championship very recently.
I don't know.
Have you considered that you're just a strange person?
I'm not a strange person. Okay, yeah, that's Toronto. Yeah, okay. So, chat, just to make sure, this is to here, right? Yeah, because I think that's the energy
Yes.
card. Yeah, okay. So this is the energy. All right. So energy. Spinda. Actually, that's really cute. Look at that. Tangled feet. This Pokemon's confused and damaged
Oh,
by an
that's
attack. Flip a coin. If heads, prevent that damage. Oh, okay. Teetered steps. This Pokemon is now confused. The fuck? Oh, but it's 100. No, what? That's okay. That's a Pokemon. Nimble. Just flop. Oh god, Toronto. Toronto. No, it's Toronto. Just the T is silent for some reason. Anyways, Elekid. I don't like this fucking Pokemon. I'll be honest. He just looks funny.
He gets cool when he gets bigger,
Okay.
but the little one is bad.
It's just ice cream.
Yes, that is just an ice cream cone.
Vanillish.
Leave it alone.
Okay.
You don't know how many people have fought wars over that ice cream cone.
Okay. Mila. Maybe the whole motorboat Electrobuzz meme? No, what? No.
Motorboat Electrobuzz.
You use this card only if your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Attack the basic fire energy from your discard pile to one of the Pokemon. If you do, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. That's pretty good.
I have to show you the
Slitherwing.
full
Look at that.
character model for Mila.
It's
Oh
like
yeah,
a-
that one's just like a big moth dinosaur bitch.
Yeah, it looks good. Holy shit, look at that. New regional variant. Chocolate Char and Ice type with chocolate variant of Villa. Yo, what? That sounds pretty cool. I fucking again, Gorgeist. That's like the third Gorgeist.
Is that a big one?
It's Wiglet again. Look at this Wiglet.
Yeah, it's with. It's the
I'm
little
sorry.
Wiglet.
Why is it? Why that? Like, why like that? Why like that? That looks interesting. I'm sorry. This is making me laugh.
What, you don't like my little Wiglet?
Just don't say. Look, you can't even say it in his face. Why is it like a toy, bro? It looks like. It just looks wrong, man. It just looks wrong. I'll
I
say
like
that.
how this vibration. Nothing. No description. Vibration.
And it vibrates. Okay.
Vibration.
Yeah, Fusha has a point. That's also
Oh, your little Wiglet vibrates. That's
my little
cute.
Wiglet vibrates. It gets a little, it only vibrates when it gets a little excited, you know.
Oh,
Okay, anyways, next one.
God.
Tinkatink,
Mhm.
Boundless Power, and the next one is. Whoa! Oh shit! That was
No
cool.
shit! Holy, that's Mewtwo. Yo, put it in sleep right now.
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Right fucking now.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Holy fuck, Mewtwo! Mewtwo EX, and it's like all like flashy and shit.
It goes for $2.
$2!
$2.15.
$2, chat! Let's
Which
fucking
is
go.
good. It's good because most of the shit is under $1. That's good.
Fusha's not impressed.
Oh my god. Foosh is a no.
Fusha's a no,
Fusha's
so
in
he
the
just said.
Yeah, Foosh is a no.
Gafush does
The
it,
true
man.
life of a gambler.
Gamba. All right, that looks like a sick card though. I like that one. All right, next one. What is your luck? What the fuck? Is that good? Do I have good luck right now?
That is pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. 7 on TCG apparently. $7.
Do you need help? Okay.
Patience is a virtue, Jelly.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not fucking virtuous. Hurry it up, bitch. My dinner's getting cold.
Officer Bull.
My dinner's getting cold.
Here is literally 2 seconds long and is the funniest fucking thing. https://u2.b/pw1z13q feature = shared.
Amazing.
Oh,
Thank you.
that Electabuzz motorboat meme.
Literally 2 seconds long is the funniest shit. What is this? What the fuck was that? What was that? Bro!
That's his cry. What do you mean? That's what he says. That's Electabuzz.
Oh my god, hold on. You guys can't hear it. Hold on. Hold on. What the fuck is that sound?
It sounds like the voice actor just started like sucking on the mic.
We started motorboarding the mic, man. What the fuck? Yeah, he is motorboarding. You're right. Alright, so this one, put away. This one's an energy card, right? Yeah, okay. There you go. And now we flip. Also, does Mewtwo have a hat on, or am I just crazy? Whatever.
That's the new gimmick, terrestrialization. It's where they get like a special crown thing that changes their type. So Mewtwo's electric now.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I didn't even think about that. The sound I make when I eat pussy. Thank you, Sylvie. Alright, Zubat. Natu again. Purloin. Mienfoo, these are all like we all know these. The busted capsule. Orthorn's new. What is this? Punch and draw.
He's a big one.
Crunch time rush. There are 3 or fewer cards in your deck. This attack does 150 more damage. The fuck? What? That sounds pretty busted, but okay. Scenario.
Man, it's not that busted.
Think, but foiled. Oh, it's a pretty art. Look at that.
Oh, it's a different art.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Mine again, but different art and
Nice.
foil. Pretty.
And is that the last card?
No, this is the last card. Porygon Z!
Oh! Porygon Z. It was a little fucked up bastard.
I like it.
I can't say that word.
Why not? You said worse.
Yeah.
My little wiggle. What the fuck?
Shut the fuck up.
You're the one that said that!
You
Porygon, I
can't
love. Yeah,
bring
Porygon's
up-
awesome. But why is it Z? What does Z mean?
It's just like the final evolution. The first one is Porygon, the second one is Porygon 2, and then the third one is Z.
Did we just forget about counting? What happened there?
Yeah, we went straight from 2 to Z. You know, we skipped all the other ones.
Crunch time is the same move the game devs were forced to do when making Scarlet and Violet. Okay, that's funny. What? I don't know how my hair got there. You came here! Alright, Pulsel. Also, get this energy card out of here. Alright, Plusle, whatever. We already saw this one. Fucking Tandem Mouse. Cutest shit ever still. Oh, Totoko. Oh, it's a different art though. Look at this one.
No,
Looks-
that's the same art.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this just...
Toxic. Look at that, it's so cute!
Oh, it's the clay one.
It's the clay one, chat. That's cute. Look at that feature. That's cute. Aww. Screamtail. This one's different art though. That looks pretty cool. Slap.
This
and
is the normal one.
This is the normal one. Okay, I see. He baby, baby. TM de-evolution. Devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon by putting the high stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. What the fuck? That sounds annoying. Explode. Okay. That looks cool, actually. Look at that. This is me. Yeah, you're right. It's me, chat.
Yeah.
I'm loud.
It's as ugly as you too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. Rika again, but it's a foil. Vanillite. Full foil. And then the last one is Kingdra. Kingdra. Cute. I like it. Next one. Mini ice cream cone. Yeah, mini ice cream. Now we have the ice cream cone and the small ice cream cone. Did you guys get me any food when you went out, by the way? Did you guys get any food when you went out? Huh? Man. I love food. Man.
I feel like something always. Always later.
Chat and being. Alright, the energy. Alright, next one is. Oh, this one's Joltik, but this is a different art. Look at that. Oh, he's so cute. He's having a blueberry. Look at that. He's so cute. He's so cute. Oh,
He's so tiny and baby, and I love that.
don't flick him.
Did you-
Fusha.
That's so mean.
I know,
Oh my
right?
God.
Oh, Loud Dread. Okay. Remoraid. I think we already saw this one. Punkaboo. Now we have like the
Yeah,
full
we already
one.
have this one.
Counter Catcher. You can use this card if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. Oh, fuck you. Oh, this is horrible. The fuck, if you're winning, you just start winning more?
Yeah.
What a dick move. Oh, wow, look at this Absol. Wow, look at that. That looks pretty.
Absol has always been the coolest one.
Yeah, but look at the art. I like it. Looks really pretty. Masquerain. That looks pretty cool. It's a bug. Gets stick bugged. What the fuck? Golisopod.
It's got, yeah.
It looks pretty sick, I'll be
He's just
honest.
He's a big one of those like sea cockroaches, but he's a big one.
Does 20 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. That sounds good. And Waterfall is 130 damage. That sounds really good.
Welcome
This
back,
sounds
Echo.
really good, yeah.
Well, hello.
Oh, welcome back. Whismer. And the last card is... Oh, it's Groudon! Groudon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at that. We got the legendary Pokemon. That's sick. That's sick. Alright. I like this card. I like this one a lot. I might use him. Okay.
Use him. How?
Alright, next pack, chat.
Icarus.
Anything good? Oh, hi, Kanoko. We got a Mewtwo GX. And a couple, like, another GX and like 2 other cards. I'll find it. I don't know. I'm new at this, so I don't know, Kanoko.
Hey, Icarus.
Echo predicted it.
It takes
Oh, Sparks predicted
a
it.
while to get like good shit. You're gonna find a lot of duplicates.
It's okay. I'm having fun. Do this. Energy card. And then Minun again. I also don't think, but it sounds good to me. Okay. Is he saying GX? Is it not GX?
Yeah.
Oh, it's EX.
Yeah, that is
oh my
GX.
god, you're right. It's EX. I'm so sorry. Doublade again.
I'm a wanderer.
Oh fuck, third Miltank. Oh no. Oh no. Okay.
Two
Okay,
more
two
until
more.
you get the tattoo.
No, 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 no. I don't want a Miltank tattoo.
But he's so cute.
I know he's cute, but come
Oh.
on, man. Alright, Wimpod. What's he doing? He's being creepy and shit. Norman. Who the fuck is Norman? Draw 2 cards. If your opponent
Fuck,
active as an
kill.
EX, draw 2 more. That's pretty good, actually. That sounds really good. Oh, Earthworm again. Oh, Toadscrew. Why is he look at him? He's ready. He's ready for that booty. Sorry.
Well, what the fuck?
Sorry.
You.
Mushroom
Stop
Drain.
talking,
My bad.
please.
Cards in your discard pile can be put into your hand with an effect of your opponent's abilities drain. Oh, okay. Bro's lurking. You're right. Sorry. Mean Fu again, but foil. This piece
Was
of
it
shit
for
count. This is a
Radiant
bitch ass fucking card. This is a
What is
dickhead
it?
card. Counter Catcher. If you're winning, you basically switch a Pokemon from their bench to the active one.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the last one is, wow, Zacian.
Oh, I have that one.
Look at that. That looks pretty.
He's a good sword dog.
It's a good boy. Yeah, look at that, chat. Smash. Okay. Fucking fatal.
Do not the good boy. He does not get a smash.
That's awesome. Sword Wolf. All right, chat. 3 more packs. That is a dog. What do you read Smash? Man, some people are... It's okay. Look, man. Some people want to smash a dog. Some people want to smash a lion.
If you fucking I'm gonna kill you. You're fucking dead. You're dead. You're dead.
Chad, do you know what
When
Jelly
I
likes?
fucking find you. Shut the fuck up. You, shut the fuck up. You get the fuck out. And you leave and you never come back. You get out. You get out.
Oh, Jelly.
No, oh jelly me, you fat bitch. Get out. Leave. Leave.
Oh, Jelly. All right, Fuikoko. That's cute. Look at that.
Oh, I love him.
I love him so much. Look at
Oh.
him
One of my cheese
go.
boys.
He's so happy
He's
under
a
that
little
leaf.
Look at
chunker.
his little cheese.
I know. Cheese? Oh, wait a minute. You're right. The cheese. That is
He's a
so
little
funny.
chili pepper with a little cheese on his chest.
I didn't even notice that. That's so funny. Yeah, he has no thoughts. It's raining. It's bad outside. No, I got a leaf. I'm happy. I love this guy. Oh, fuck. Honage. Hell yeah. We got the first step. And then we can get the other 2. Dweeble! Rock Lobster. Pokemon are practically animals. Stop saying you want to smash them. Oh my gosh.
Well, depends on. Never mind.
Huh?
It's more Smash on vibes.
Yeah,
Smash the vibes.
Oh my god.
Pokemon.
like
Horsey.
Beldum.
Oh, Wug Trio.
Wug Trio.
Oh wait, yeah, we have the first one twice in like 2 different arts. So now we have this one.
Wiglet to Wug Trio.
Techno Radar again. Steenie.
She's so pretty.
She looks so
I love
cute.
her.
Yeah.
Cute. I've
She looks
never seen this one.
adorable. Yeah. Remoraid. I think there's the last one. No, it's not.
there's another
Zubat.
one.
Next one's the last one. And then the last one is another GX.
Oh, that's sick.
Fuck. How do I pronounce this? Kafak.
It's Cuffarigus.
No, Kafakrigus. Kafakrigus EX. Did you say Smash Fisher? What did you say? Oh.
This Fusha wanna fuck the dead body.
No, he does. Excuse me?
That's a dead. That's
That
a
looks-
corpse in there.
Oh, that's horrible. Looks sick though. That looks cool. I really like this one. That looks really cool. Look at that, Chad. Look how pretty it looks. It's not going in.
I like him because he's just like big arms and then swings his coffin at you.
That was, man, those first letters, man. Those first 2 letters were not the best openings that I was looking for. Look at that, though. This is awesome. I like this one. All right, 2 more packs. Don't force it in. Be nice to it. I'm trying. Ain't Kafari
I'm glad I'm not the only
the one that
caught
makes mummies too? Or am I thinking a different one? I got no idea. You have to spit
is
on
that
that thing. I'm not spitting. Jesus Christ.
Is the one that's like a sarcophagus? Or is that the one?
I got no idea.
Cuffarigus is like the Egyptian tomb, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't make mummies, but he has one inside of him. And if you go to Sword and Shield, he has a Galarian form where he's just a bunch of like rune rocks and statues.
Sorry, side note, opening these packs make me hungry because it's like I'm opening like a snack. Right? Am I the only one?
I mean, you can eat them if you want.
So now that I'm
Go ahead.
seeing the full
Fuck, I forgot if I
Cofagrigus, I understand the Smash.
whatever. Oh my god. I did? Okay, fuck it. It's okay. Tandem Mouse. Toads.
I still need to send you the
Toad's
video
cool.
of that motherfucker
Another one!
running. It is the funniest thing ever. Oh, hell yeah.
Spinda, this dumb bitch. Ooh. Oh, yeah, Slither again. Slitherwing. Oh, this one's cool. What's this one? Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn. During your next turn, this Pokemon Spring Needle does 100 more damage before applying weakness and resistance. Oh, wow. Wow. What the hell? Exoskeleton takes 30 less damage from attacks after applying weakness. Okay. Cursed Duster. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked by damage from an attack on an opponent, discard a random card from your opponent's deck. Hand. Sorry. Hand. The Ice Cream again. Parasol Lady. Damn, okay. Lockix.
Oh, that is the Pokemon that's based off of Kamen Rider.
Looks sick. Look at that. I like this one a lot. That looks sick. Everyone's saying hear me out, smash. Okay, fine. Fine. That one's a lot. Alright,
I'm
last
hearing
card.
them out.
No.
Oh wait, sorry. Oh, that was the last card. Sorry.
No.
Right. Energy card.
This
There you
is
go.
it?
That was the last card. I like this one. I like this one a lot. I might use it. Break all of you. Oh, is that it? We're done? Yeah, we're done. Nope, wait, nope. One more.
Nice.
Last one.
Yeah, you had one more.
I was like, I swear I had one more. All right, last one, chat. Let's make this one count.
Wait, is that how they walk? They actually have,
Yeah.
they use them like legs?
Yes, it's so
Oh, they look
crazy.
so
Hold
stupid.
on.
Don't they?
he just.
Are they
I think
supposed
there's
to
a
like
video.
float?
No, they do not float. They just run with their. Because this is the
Oh,
ground
no.
version of them, so they just run around on the ground. Like crazy people. Here, there's the video of them running.
See if it loads.
Hey, Pants here. We got Eggbot again. Mankey. Nickit. I've never seen this one. Look at this one. This one's
Oh,
cute.
it's so pretty.
Yeah, this one's really
Yeah,
cute.
it's the little fox one from Sword and Shield.
Oh, okay.
Jelly, they look so stupid.
I've never seen Gligar in my life. Look at him. Look at how dumb he looks.
Are you? He's from Generation 4. He's from Diamond and Pearl.
What dude?
Yeah,
I've
it's an
never
old
seen him.
one.
Wow.
But yes, they
Blipbug.
do look stupid, and I love it.
Okay. That is
He is also a new
confusing to
one.
look at. I don't know why. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
What's
understand
confusing
this
about
one.
it?
Just weird. Like.
He's supposed to be like a nerd. His eyes are his glasses.
I got no idea. Huh? Is he in a fruit bag? Yeah, so I thought he's in a fruit bag. What the hell is it? Yeah, I'm not sure. Crobat. Yeah, he is? Okay. What's this? Roark. Draw 2 cards, put a basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. That sounds good.
Oh, Minior.
Minior.
I
I've
love
never
this
seen
one.
this one.
He's from Sun and Moon. There's like multiple different colors of it. It was the cutest one ever.
Okay. Gravitational tackle looks pretty good. Retreat cost. Oh yeah, there's a retreat cost. Okay. Rubbish.
God.
And the last one is
That's
rubbish.
that was just you last night.
The literal
That was me,
trash
yeah.
Pokemon.
We should meet last night. All right, last one, chat. Yoink. Oh, no, not
Oh.
last one. Not last one. Not last one. Sorry, Wiglet again. This is
Not
the
last
third.
one,
This is
but
the
Wiglet.
third different Wiglet we got.
Why did they make so many Wiglet cards?
I don't know.
Why did they
There's so
like
many
them
Wiglets. I
much?
got 3 different Wiglets, and they're all foil. I'm pretty sure.
God, you're surrounded by swinging Wiglets all over you.
All my, I have, oh my god, I can say something really bad. I have so many Wiglets in my farm.
in your farm? What?
Let that one soil a
I
little
don't
bit.
get that. I'll get that one.
Okay, it's okay.
Wiglet tattoo next. Yeah.
Furry headbutt.
Last one. Fucking Satu again.
Oh my.
That's rough. That's like the third Zatu we got. That's funny.
That's the life of a Pokemon card trainer.
Zatu.
You know,
Wow.
There you go, chat.
it was
Zatu.
kind of fucked up though.
There you go. We opened how many packs? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16? No, 9, no, 9, 13, 17 packs, I think. And the best ones
You
we got were
found-
these ones, followed by... Hold on. This is going to be a bitch to sort through later. And, and then we also got this one, this one, this one. These are the ones. Well, I don't know about this one. Apparently this one's not that rare, but...
You know, it's a normal one, but it's cool.
Someone give this dude a refund. If I can make a deck out of this, like out of like what I got now, I think I'll be happy.
You can.
Kids'
You can
cardboards
do
are
it based off
expensive,
of, like,
honestly. There you go. These are
Pokemon
the
is easier than Magic, isn't it?
way easier.
Yeah. It is.
Magic is like too much. Like it gets a little bit too much too fast.
Yeah, because I've played Magic, but not Pokemon.
Think of like Magic rules of like how you tap Magic and stuff. But like all the cards that like you invoke and stuff like that, like are like 15 times easier to understand. It's not like
Okay.
They all just
here's
do,
a
like,
read a
simple
whole
things.
fucking paragraph. Yeah, it's not like this whole thing, right?
It's not like a whole paragraph to explain all of their moves. Just like this card does this, do it now, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very like old school Yu-Gi-Oh-esque, like draw a card and that's it.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So yeah, it makes it easier to understand. Like even these ones are like this is the most you'll get. It's like 3 lines, right? During your opponent's turn, prevent all effects. Like that's it. Like it's very simple, very easy. Leisha, that's called an addiction. Those are the codes who makes Magic first printed Pokemon cards. Well, yeah, they were like a not a subsidiary, like contracted. And then they were like, oh, whoops. There you go. Oop, I forgot to change this one out. But yeah, there you go, chat. You always
Oh, wait,
wanted
can I
me
see your
to.
Sleeves?
Hmm?
What sleeves do you have? Can I see the back of them?
Oh yeah. Here, I'll just flip this one for now. There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, it came with a box, so I'm like, all right.
I like the colors.
They're really pretty. Very colorful. It's a very colorful game. I think that's like one thing that I didn't like about Magic is that it has very dull colors. Even the back of it is
Yeah,
so
it's very
dull.
earthy.
It's a little too like gritty. Like this is very dark.
It is because it is. It's Magic, right? It's literally like because again, it's like D&D.
It's depressing.
Yeah, like well, you know, D&D is like, you know, you could like people are usually the ones making the shit. So
Well, I guess Pokemon is equally as depressing, but it's just hidden behind like fun colors.
well, yeah, but that's the point is that it's hidden behind fun colors, not hey, here's all this depressing shit. It's like ugh. Usually, a lot of people care more about visual stuff than non-visual stuff.
That's so much energy.
Did you not get a single dragon energy this entire time?
This is not all of them. Let me see.
That's so many.
I wouldn't be surprised because even I only have like 3 dragon energy cards and then 2 dragon cards. It's a very hard like card type to find.
Nope, not here. Is that all? That's not all my energy cards. I have more.
Are you gonna bring them to Texas?
If people actually play, yeah, why not? I want to learn.
I'm
I'd be
I
willing
don't know
to
if
try.
Riz does actually.
I feel like Riss would.
Riss is a big enough Pokemon nerd to play.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, Echo, have I ever shown you my custom Pokemon cards that I bought off of like
No? I can't
Oh,
see
they're
your-
in here, aren't they? Ah. Wait, what is
off of
this?
a Patreon person? I can't show them on stream because they're not TOS, but I can show them to you.
Show them to me. Just send them to me.
Oh,
I
here,
wanna
more
see.
energy cards. Chat, he got like custom made NSFW Pokemon cards. It's so fun. Can you send it to me again? I'm actually curious. I forgot.
Oh, I don't know where the picture is. I forgot where I put it.
No.
I have them like in my box.
How did you like I don't get, are they printed out or something? Or like, are you just, I don't know.
They're made in the same way that the original Pokemon cards are made. You use like a fucking design. You have to go through like a retailer. Not a retailer, a third party. That'll do them for you.
Are they considered like real cards anyways? Or like, do people give a shit about that? Or
They're
no?
not legal, but they're playable. You can use them.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, it's. You think I'm gonna show up to the Pokemon card tournament?
Fucking like bare ass
that in my
Blaziken or
hand?
some shit. I don't know. Oh yeah, Chad. Sorry, and this
Fat
card,
cheek Charizard.
and there's this card.
Alright, there we go. I found them. Let me just take a picture. I'll send it.
Really pretty. So I think that's everything. I think. I could be wrong. So then it's like now just construct a deck, right? I'm gonna stop the
Yeah.
recording so my editors don't have to deal with this. There you go. So how would you, so okay, let's say you're teaching me right now how to play Pokemon. How would I go about making a deck?
Okay, so Pokemon decks usually follow, like, as I said, a gimmick. Like, the deck I use follows the Lost Zone gimmick, which uses like a weird area that only is exclusive to that certain kind of like card deck. To my advantage to like get ahead in the game. What the ones that you opened up, the set that you have is specifically for the Paradox Pokemon. Like all the Pokemon that you saw for like ancient and future Pokemon cards, that would be the gimmick for this set. So you can build one around that.
Which gimmick?
So like the ancient and the future Pokemon.
Oh, gotcha.
I see the cards, Jelly. I understand why you can't show them. on
Show
screen.
here,
Yeah.
hold on, let me see, where are they? Oh yeah, I remember now. Yep, that's the one. Interesting.
Listen, they're on sale when I found them.
They're on sale, chat. 60 cards in all, 20 energy, at least 20 Pokemon cards, and the rest are trainer cards. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, you can mix and match how many Pokemon cards and trainer cards you have. Usually, you're gonna want like.
Well, usually
yeah, like
people
you
go
said,
for that. So
20.
that's like the general structure of how you want the cards to go.
Mhm.
Okay, so
You don't want too many of the EX or the V cards in there because then at that point you're gonna like. If you have too many of them, you're only gonna be able to use them, and then you're gonna if one dies, you're gonna lose two, and then you're just gonna lose faster.
right, so you don't want to have EX cards like up the fucking wazoo.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Unless you're really
find
confident, I guess.
decks. Unless you want to work off of that, where you only use EX cards, which is stupid, but you can try it.
Okay, I'm gonna just like pick cards that I think are gonna be great for me to use, and then
It's just like Magic. You're going to want like a bunch of Pokemon that are like cannon fodder, just so you can throw out there while you have low energy.
yeah,
So
okay.
what are the trainers for?
They're like
It's
spell
trainer-
cards. Like you just do something,
Okay.
and items
And
as
on
well.
top of that, you want to stick to a certain type.
Right,
well, not
because
a certain type, but just a few.
because you can't have you want to reduce the amount of energy cards you use.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't want to spread it too thin.
Right.
So
Okay.
just pick your favorites and
Yeah, I'm just picking as much as I could, and then I'll figure it out later.
where did I fucking put it?
I'm gonna use this here for
Oh.
now. Punch and draw.
here.
I think like this is not bad. I think there was another one.
I have a
passed.
replica deck of the 2023 World Champion for the Pokemon TCG Worlds that I found at Walmart. He has like, I have to count them.
So many Wiglets.
There's so many.
The Wiglets, they're everywhere.
Do you have more of those or the Milk Boy?
More Wiglets.
I think I have more Wiglets. Yeah.
He only has like 8 Pokemon in his deck, and then the rest are like spell cards
His dick.
and item cards.
I heard that.
You heard that
He's
too,
world
right? I heard
champion.
dick. I was like, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah, like this has this many
No.
Pokemon in his dick. I was like, what? You gotta
God,
wiggle your
Rose's
Wiglets.
said
No,
that
not
was
wrong.
saying dick earlier. Fuck, man. Do I sound like I'm saying dick when I say deck?
You said that's what I heard.
Sometimes. But that time
Dick.
it was
That
Deck,
time
deck,
was
deck,
very
deck,
dick, like-
deck. Deck.
Okay, that last one
I
said
heard it, I
dick.
heard it.
You heard it. There
I
it
heard
is.
it, I heard
Glad
it,
you heard
I
it.
heard it. Okay, so in his deck with an E,
We're gonna be here all day, chat.
gonna overemphasize it the whole time.
Dick. I
he
think I
He
said
only
dick this
has-
time. I don't even know, man.
shut the fuck. I'm gonna kill you. He only has 8 Pokemon, and then the rest are energies and item cards. I don't remember where I put mine. What the fuck was that?
Fushi almost put mails, not even, like mail on my desk, and that mail had my everything, my name, my fucking everything on it.
Oh jeez.
Oh, your full name? You mean your full name, John Mann? Circuit's full name?
John
I'm
Circuit.
handsome.
John Circuit Man. Mm-hmm.
Ultra
This is
Ball. Here,
not
there's the
my
3 items. This is all items. This is all items. This is all items. This is all items and trainers. Holy shit. Alright, put all that there. Holy fuck. Chat, I don't know what I'm gonna pick. That's a lot of Natus, bro. This guy. I really like this guy. Okay, that's electric. If I have electric, I might as well play the fucking what's it called?
Mewtwo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And steel. I had some
Pick
steel cards
what-
as well.
Everyone floats your boat.
Oh, I
Whichever
have
one you like the most.
Oh, I love this guy.
You have enough to make 2 decks?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'll just give you
That
one.
deck is like, how many cards? 60?
60. Yeah, somebody says 60. 20 Pokemon, 20 trainers, 20 items? No, energy. Sorry, energy. Items slash trainers.
Oh fuck! I don't know where my battle deck is. The one I use to fight people. Shit. Okay, well. Fuck me, I guess. Damn.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards, chat. Holy shit. I did not expect that much. Then again, people are going to be like, you should see my collection. I have this many. And I'm like, okay. Gentle
By
slap.
people, they mean me.
Rotom.
I'm people.
Fucking Sunny. Oh, shit. What was this?
Is this it? I don't think it's it.
Licky. Iron Valiant. Fairy Baton. Fucking another Wiglet. I'll put you up here. Poochyena. Ecans. Pikachu. Haunter.
So how are you separating them right now?
I'm just putting stuff right now to my deck that I think is going to be good.
Stuff that you think looks sick as fuck.
There's ones that I think will work. And then I'm going to try to like...
Bye,
Yeah, you should
Alisa.
separate by types first to make it easier to make a deck. That's a good point, Danny. I will probably do that almost now. Well, now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what kind of build are you going for?
Well, I wanted to see what I had the most of, like, what I was interested in, and then work around that. But
Okay.
like, let's see what I even have. Oh my god, is this more cards?
Sure.
Did I go off? Did I already check this? Oh my god, I didn't. Oh my god, there's more. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Fine.
Holy shit, how many cards am I going through, bro? The fuck?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's gonna take you a little bit.
Holy shit, Chad, this is what people do on a day-to-day basis? Fuck me, man.
Not day to day, just like one day you set aside.
One day you set aside. It's like, what's it called? It's like, oh my god, what's the word?
It's like spring cleaning, but cool.
Spring cleaning, but not boring, yeah. Oh no, I went through these, yeah. Okay, oh, no, what the hell? King drawer. No, what? Hold on. This is different, hold on.
Hey, bro bear.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Okay, so there's these cards, there's these cards. Okay. I should definitely go by types though. What Danny said. Let's see what I have collected in this menagerie of fuckery. Oh my god, how do I do this? Hold on, let me just...
Is that an Articuno? When the fuck did I get an Articuno? I do have an Articuno. I don't remember that much.
What kind of deck do you have?
Does who have?
Jelly.
I have a Lost Zone deck, and I would show it if I can find it. I kind of lost it in like the massive amount of Pokemon cards I have.
Oh my god, Chad, this is ridiculous. Okay, so we're gonna split them. Normal, item, fight, trainer, trainer, fight, trainer. What is this, ghost? Chat, what is this? This is ghost?
That's like... some of the types are like mixed together, so that's like psychic, ghost, poison, whatever.
It's an
That's
eye!
just the mystic type. It's
Oh.
mystic.
Okay.
Yeah, they invented new types for the training card game that don't exist in the video games.
Really?
Yeah, they basically just combined some of the types together to make it easier to understand.
Holy shit.
Which is why you'll find like Sylveon just in the mystic type, which even though they're a fairy type Pokemon.
I don't know what this is. Doublade is a normal? I didn't even know that.
Oh, that's another weird thing they do. Sometimes they just switch when what like type of Pokemon has, depending on what the art looks like. Even though Dual Blade is Steel, they're gonna just say it's normal because why not? Oh,
It's like Charizard not being flying.
Exactly. No, Charizard not being Dragon. It's like
Oh,
that.
Dragon, that's the one. Sorry, he's flying. Yeah, yeah. I have so many item cards. The fuck? This is water? Wait, hold on a second. These two are different.
Let me see.
This one has a star and this one has not a star. Chat, help me
Ow,
out.
fuck my ankle. A star? What do you mean? What's the difference? Oh, no. You got him confused. That's... Dual Blade is Steel. Porygon is normal. Steel is like the weird dot with like the angles. And then normal is the star.
Oh.
They also don't like to change the colors either.
Oh my god. Okay, we're having fun here, huh?
I will
Yeah.
say
Wait, these
the
are all
graphic
steel
design
then.
needs some work.
What's up?
There's what?
The graphic design needs some work. Things are not very clear.
No.
They haven't updated this shit since the game started.
Jeez.
Alright, so we got a lot of steel cards, so it sounds like I'm running a steel deck. But hold on, let me double check. Let's double check.
You're hard as steel. Uh-huh.
So
Jail.
I'm gonna flip these to the ones that I prefer. Fighting is a number 2 right now. And then we'll just go off of it. No, wait, hold on. What am I doing? No, wait, hold on. I'm 100% rewatching the VOD. Dude, I'm mega confused already.
What do you mean?
Oh my god. Holy shit. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Let's just take all these cards that we have and just fucking go at it. Alright, this ice shit. Water. What is
Either
this?
I shoved my shit into like a bunch of other decks, or I lost my battle deck. Fuck.
Your battle dick?
Yeah.
You heard that right? Yeah, okay, you heard
you
that
lost
too.
your battle
My
dick.
He lost his
my
battle
ba-
dick again.
Huh?
I lost.
Damn.
No, it
Food
fell
break
off.
time
Fuck,
soon.
man.
I should definitely have a food break time soon.
You're defenseless.
What am I gonna do on Dick Fight Island now? Do you know Dick Fight Island, Circuit?
No, what are you talking about?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Crobat, chat, what is this? Dark? This way.
Uh-huh. What do you mean? It says it. Well, it doesn't say it.
No, it doesn't. Don't say it says it. It doesn't say shit. It doesn't say shit, bro. Shit's rough out here in the hood.
In the hood? You live in Quebec. Fuck you talking about hood?
Motherfucker, I didn't grow up here. I actually grew up in the hood.
The hoods of Toronto? Okay.
Yeah, it's not as bad as America, yeah. This is like Drake saying, like, yeah, man, we started from the bottom. It's like, bro, what bottom? What are you talking about?
You're the bottom.
Oh, shit. Oh my god, this is so shiny. Oh, that's electric. Okay. I could tell. It's fucking blasting like light into my face. Where's Leaf? There. There.
How many types are they now? Because haven't they added like 2 or 3?
In the games or in TCG?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't realize there was a difference.
There is
I
a
guess I want to
difference.
say in the cards.
In the cards,
God.
I have to count them actually. It's
Water.
normal,
Leaf.
water,
Water. Water.
normal, water.
Grass,
I'm just gonna type it out.
Fire. Fighting.
Normal,
Another leaf again. Water. Water. Normal. Electric. Normal. Grass. Dark. Different type of dark.
That's Mystic.
Mystic. Whatever. Water. Normal. Electric. That's not the right place. Electric.
Okay, there we go.
Hi, Circuit. Hi, person. Hi, everybody, chat. Too many sweats. This is
Yeah,
why I can't
that's-
get the cards. There's too many sweats.
It's too many
That's funny.
sweats.
That's kind of funny. Holy shit.
There's too many sweats, and everybody's in sweatpants. Too many.
What is this?
So it's normal, water, grass, fighting, fire, electric, steel, dark, mystic, and dragon. Which is like
What the fuck?
10. There's 10 types. If you exclude the fairy type, which I will because they stopped making it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Apparently they still exist in the games, but not here anymore.
They don't exist legally in competitions, but they're out there. Man,
That's a lot of grass type.
wish-
Jesus. Not a lot of fire, which makes me a little sad.
you can't burn
Yeah, that
off
means-
somebody's eyebrows.
You're not going to be able to have Rococo Chili Boy.
No.
You can still have him because certain Pokemon use like different energies for their moves. You don't have to go specifically based off of the typing of the card, just off of like the typing of the moves they use.
Bro, how many different Zatus do I have at this point? This is ridiculous. Natu, Zatu, Natu, Zatu. Fighting. This one. Who should just went to bed or something beside me. There's
So
a
is
le-
this like Magic where you have to like have a certain amount of mana to like summon your Pokemon, or
No. But you need
just
mana, quote
place
unquote,
them, but you
mana,
need it.
like to do the moves that they have.
Okay, that makes sense.
So on the cards, when you see like these little icons, like right here, that's the type of energy and how much you need to do this move. So for example, you have 2 of this on this Pokemon, you could do this move. Does that
You
make
do
sense?
need mana to like retreat them though.
And retreat them,
You
yeah.
want to take them.
Right, you're right.
Oh,
Basically makes it punishes you for like constantly switching on like the game. It's like, oh no, run away. Oh my god. Electric, where are you? There you are. Fighting, that way. Leaf, that way. Leaf, that way. Fighting, back there.
You got ads in like 50 seconds.
Oh my god, I'll play them right now, Chess, while I'm doing this.
good idea.
You have a new game? Oh, dude, that's awesome, person. What the fuck? Good luck. You got this. I've never been this focused in my life.
Oh, did you feel sick at all
Me?
this morning? Did you live?
Yeah, no, I didn't get sick at all. No hangover.
Yeah, I was talking to who was that? Sparks. I was talking to someone about how it's wild that you don't get hangovers.
Yeah, right? I don't know why. Like, I just don't. Everybody's like, you're not there yet. I'm like, I'm approaching 30. I don't...
Is it because of your metabolism?
I think
That
so.
could be.
I think so. I think, yeah.
I think you just burn the alcohol really quick.
Yeah. No, it goes right through me, dude. You're just Kingpin. I'm Kingpin. What is this again? The fuck is this?
Let me see. Oh, that is dragon.
This is Dragon?
Mhm.
Oh, shit. I think I put it with electric or some shit.
No, new pile.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, wait. It's right here.
Only
No, it's right here. The dragons. There's 3 dragons. How the fuck am I going to play this one if I... Wait, hold on. But this dragon... What? Hold on. This dragon deck doesn't use a single dragon.
Wait, did you get 3 of the
Yes.
same?
I got 3 of the same ones. But what? Dude, this dragon doesn't use a single dragon power.
That is because the dragon energies are extremely rare to find, so they decided to stop giving them like dragon power.
Oh,
They
That's
use
funny.
other ones.
that's kind of funny.
You think they would just be like, "Oh, add more dragon energies to the deck." No, just stop using them.
Mm-mm.
Straight up.
That's a lot of steel.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be a steel heavy deck.
No, Danny, there is dragon energy. I'm pretty sure I own at least one dragon energy. They exist.
Take care, person.
Okay, it was Sparks. Yeah.
What does it say? What does Sparks say?
Oh, we were talking about how we're more lightweight. Like I'm not as lightweight as drunk or as Joe is, but I get drunk a lot faster. I'm excited to spend time with Riss because apparently she's the same way.
I'm gonna have to watch an eye on you guys.
Yep, it's gonna be a mess.
It's gonna be fun. Dallas is gonna be a fun ass time.
It's gonna be over so fast though.
No, don't say that. Come on. Enjoy while you still
Cause
can.
like,
I mean,
yeah.
you guys, it'll go slow because you guys are having fun. It'll be like you're there forever.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my god, I sorted through it. Okay, lots of ghost. Lots of
Mystic.
steel. Sorry, mystic. Jesus. Fuck's sakes. Mystic. Whatever.
Shut the fuck up and
You
call
know-
them what it is.
You know what sounds stupid? Like, come on. Mystic. The fuck?
No, it doesn't. It's cool as frick.
That'll be hot trust, scorching even. I'm kind of excited. I really
That's
like warm
cool.
weather. There's some good fighting ones here too. There's also Golurk and... Oh my god, that's a lot of mean foos. Right? Groudon. and Gullet. And these two. So there's that. Not bad. Electric types I have quite a bit. But they don't seem like there's a lot of interesting ones. Except for Iron Hands, which I really love. Like I really like Iron Hands. Let's see. For dragon types, there's actually good ones, but not a lot. Like we only have what? 1, 2, 3. We have 4. 3 of them are the same. That's just funny. So, I don't know about that one, Chief. Fire ones, there's quite a bit. A steel and mystic deck? Yeah, it sounds like it's going that way. Okay. Let's see what we have for steel, because I did want to go steel. Let's see. Because I wanted to... Here, what were the last 3? So there was Honage and Dawnblade. Dewblade, sorry. I want to go Dewblade. And I wanted to go... Let's see. I don't even know. There's a lot of Metagross here. But I don't have a lot of the one before Metagross. What's before Metagross? Miltank. Where's Miltank? I got 1 Miltank. Durant. Kevin Durant. I got a Zacian. The dog. Yeah, and I got this motherfucker. This freaking worm. Which is pretty interesting, actually.
That's my worm. What? Who said that?
It slithers. Circuit, did you see the new Emma Frost trailer today? I did. It looks good, Val. It looks fun. Okay.
I love it, but I don't like that she has the exact same color palette as Cloak and Dagger and Miss Fantastic. They all look like the same.
That's a good
woman to
point.
me.
Yeah, we're having...
Yeah.
I have 3 fucking Miltanks. Normals are not looking great. I'm gonna keep it real. Also, Cook Bros literally tank Scarlet Witch. Oh god. Jesus. Also, I don't know, maybe Dark. Anything good in the haul? I got a Mewtwo.
Do you want to be emo?
Oh wait, yeah, hold on. The legendaries. Yeah, what legendaries do I have? I have a dragon one.
Yeah, dragon.
I have a dark, a normal, electric, and mystic.
That's steel.
Oh, sorry, steel. Wish I had 5 Miltanks. Well, no tattoo for you, chat. So then, if
But
that's...
I'm pretty sure you do have 5 Wiglets.
I do have 5 Wigglets. I'm not taking a Wiglet tattoo. Fuck off.
Okay. No.
Motherfucker.
God damn. You can get it like right. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I'll tell you after.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna make my dick into a Wiglet. So for sure,
You
get
get,
fucked by
like,
my
a
Wiglet. Yeah, thanks, man.
Or right on the shaft.
Right on the shaft.
You know?
Who's just looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where'd the dragon cards go? Did I just trip out? Bro, I just
No,
tripped
they're
out.
right in front of you. They're in front of you. They are in front of you. Look down. Up. Right, yes, you're touching them. You're touching.
This is a
that
dragon. This is
not the
electric.
dragon? Oh, never mind. I'm stupid.
Oh my god.
No, wait. Okay, down to the like bottom right corner. There they are. There they are.
You
Oh my
switched
god, there it is.
the
You fucking... I was like,
dragon.
what? You crackhead? I was like, excuse me?
Listen,
By steel, thank you.
the electric and dragon colors are very similar. They're very similar.
I was looking by the icon. I'm like, what? So then... Yeah, dragon's not looking good. I'll say that. What does it mix with? This one mixes water and normal. This one mixes electricity and dark. Oh, shit. Okay, that's bad. Mewtwo, what does what? Just dark. But it's an electricity type. But it's just dark. Oh, wait, hold on. Do I need a Mewtwo to use Mewtwo EX?
No. EX is over. You don't with the like evolutions and shit. You don't need the pre-evolution. You can just put it down.
Oh, so then this can work with...
Evolutions are just like power-ups.
Okay, so this can work with dark then. Because Mewtwo is, for some reason, electric type, but it's dark. So...
Uh-huh.
Do you even play Pokemon? Just
It
a
works.
question. I played a little bit of Pokemon, and I play here and there now, but like I always wanted to get into trading card games. Because I used to play trading card games quite a bit. But not Pokemon. I got like other ones that people don't even heard of. And another dark one right here. That's an EX. I don't want to have too many EXs though.
Damn, you got that.
There's Mystic. And then there's normal. So safe to say, somebody said, what was it? Steel and Dark?
Steel and Dark. Is it still Mystic? But I think they meant Dark.
I think they said Dark, not Mystic. Steel, Mystic, and Dark decks. There you go. Thank you, Shadow. So then, in that case, I don't know. I guess I would add these two. Add this one. This one's a lot of energy. This one's very fucked. Okay, wait, hold on. How many are these? Wait, hold on. So, that's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's exactly 20. For steel, we have Showdown. We still fight to see him grow high by the funny goldfish. On Showdown, you mean the game? I was laughing my ass off at the characters. Like, oh no, we Showdown something else. 1, 2, 3,
Oh
4,
yeah,
5,
there's like a
6,
goldfish
7,
Pokemon that
8,
kills
9,
everyone.
10,
Showdown.
11, 12, what the fuck? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 cards here too.
You can try Showdown, but it's mostly for like experienced Pokemon competitive
Yeah,
players
no, I'm gonna
who
get
already
fucking
know
shit on. I'm gonna get shit on.
how to get their shit together.
Yeah, I'm not using normal.
I can teach you how to make a competitive team. I have my own.
Technically, I can go fighting as well if I mix them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, what the fuck is this? No, hold on. What is this? What is this? What is this? 1 Mewfu, 2 Meanfu, 3 Meanfu, 4 Meanfu. Fuck off.
1 Meanfu, blue Meanfu, red Meanfu.
Yeah, I don't even. Nah, I don't even want to buy. I don't even freaking build fighting anymore. Just because I have Groudon, I wanted to build it, but I'm like, nope.
Groudon. Okay.
Groudon.
Groudon.
Groudon?
Ground. Don. He's a ground type.
He's fighting.
Well, in the game, he's a. Oh,
Oh,
my
I
God. In the
see.
games, he's a ground type.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
He's-
Wait a minute.
He's the legendary Pokemon of like the land and ground.
All Ludicolo team. You know what I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about. Isn't Ludicolo the fucking?
Yes, it's the Mexican.
Yeah,
one.
isn't it the Mexican cactus? Yeah, I was gonna say. Adiba. More like the bully people that use legendary Pokemon think it's better. Yeah, that's. I remember when I was in high school. Dude, kids were like. These kids were going off, man. They're like, yo, man. I just did some EV training. No, I just got my IVs, just getting my EV trainings in. Yeah, I got this, like, one that just drains you forever and never dies. I'm like, the fuck? Let's just go play the TCG at this point. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, yeah, you want to
Because
face? I'm like,
it's
fuck
fun.
no, I don't want to face you. I want to play Emerald of Peace, man. I'm going to sit here and be like, yeah, man, let me just go sit here and fucking jack off. And you shit on. The fuck?
I've spent so many hours EV training my Pokemon.
What is wrong with you?
Because it's fun to battle and to win.
You crack.
It's fun to play Pokemon ranked and then reach Master Ball rank. It's fun.
Master Ball? So this is
Yes.
steel. So these are my steel energies. I don't have much energies in terms of like.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, no, I have enough. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Why are you making the nerds sound like jocks? Because that's exactly what it was back then, dude. I was like in the precipice of like when jocks were not that popular and everything else is. When are you gonna stream some more games? So tomorrow I don't know. Tomorrow we're streaming something. I don't remember what.
Actually, when are you guys play Split Fiction with Fusha?
We still have to finish It Takes Two. Fusha wants to finish it.
Okay. We can
What is
try
Split
finishing that.
Yeah. Fusha just did a thumbs up on me. Fusha, are you trying to sleep? Are you trying to sleep? No, okay, he's just he's literally under a blanket and just like he's like, this is my place now.
This is where I die.
Huh?
Split
Tavern.
Fiction is the
Where's
new
Crow?
game by the people who made It Takes Two.
Yeah, Crow, where are you?
It's similar to it.
What are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? You're in the bathroom? For 3 hours?
Doing what?
You're cleaning the house?
He's
Oh,
cleaning
It's
your
not
house.
even your. It's not even your house. It's not your dishes. Fuck you, dude. Come here,
Damn.
motherfuckers.
Your house
Like,
that
I'm gonna come
nasty?
clean your house now. The fuck?
Your house that nasty, a Crow has to clean it? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Crow better get paid, bro. I give up every single time I tell Crow, yo, stop, and just do something else. And this motherfucker is just like, let me just go do your fucking dishes or some shit. I'm like, what are you doing? What?
Crow doing side quests.
You don't
That's
like seeing
great.
dirty dishes. They're not your dishes.
Tell
What do you
Crow I
mean
said
some of them
hi.
were? No, they weren't. Oh, you used some. Still not your dishes. Oh my god, this guy's gonna give me an aneurysm, bro. Damn, dude, y'all live like this? Yeah. At least he's not buying company stuff with his own card this time. Maybear? God. Kill me. Oh my god,
Okay.
I don't even want to sort through this. I'm getting a headache, bro. Holy shit. How many cards
You
did
don't
I go
have to.
through? I got a headache, chat. Holy shit, what do I do?
You could just pick your favorites and call it a night. You don't have to do it like strategically.
Is that no? It's not strategically. I don't even know what to build right now. This deck is a mess. Hydrate? Yeah, you're right.
This is why we put a okay. This is why we put away like a day for it. We spend the whole day going through all of it.
Whatever, man. I'm glad I got a German level fucking clip today.
What is that? You
Food
ripping
first,
ass?
then deck building.
Oh, deck building. That's a good. Yeah, food first. That's a good idea. Sorry, what did you say?
Was it you ripping ass and then collapsing out of your chair?
Yeah, pretty much.
Collapse?
I was dying because I was laughing at the fuck character. Then Jelly said some shit. It was so funny. I just
I
couldn't.
said,
Stop. Val's like, what?
I was just taken aback by like the gay ass like little pose they did. Just like the little wink
Oh,
and then like the two
Val,
fingers
I
to the
was
eye.
Val, you missed it. We were like trying to go through this like Pokemon game with like the worst character select screen. I was laughing so fucking hard. I just ripped ass like in the middle of this Charizard die support. I was
You said
gone,
it smelled
bro.
like shit, and I thought you shit your pants.
Yeah, because I couldn't answer. I was laughing too hard. You're like, you shit your pants? Did you seriously shit your pants? Like the tone change of like, oh god, did you actually just do that? Was so funny.
Is Fuchsia there?
Yeah, he's right beside me. Dog, send me
No,
a clip later
he
tonight. I
wasn't
gotta
there.
please, I gotta show Nick. Bro, it didn't. The microphone didn't pick up. Surprisingly, I don't know how it didn't pick up. Like I ripped. I fucking went off and it just didn't pick it up. Good job, microphone. You might as well shit his pants.
Did you like purposely like fart loud enough for the mic to pick it up?
No, I didn't. What do you mean? What do I judge you? Everybody's literally bullying you in chat, saying stop cleaning fucking dishes. You stupid fuck.
Tell him I said hi. It'll distract
Echo
him.
said hi.
Hi, Echo.
Fuck you doing, man? Sit your ass down.
Wow. I was gonna say something fucking.
He's like
insane,
doing it
but
out
I'm
of
not
spite or some shit. I said. Oh, there's like art on the other end of the box. How do I see it?
Don't tear the box open, please. Don't.
No, it's not the box. It's like the this part.
Oh yeah. You can just like look at it from the
Look at it
outside.
from the inside. Okay, dude. Bro, did you go smoke cigarettes again? Oh my god, bro. How was last stream? By the way, I had to leave you. It was great. It was your first one today. Okay.
Nice.
You you stand circuit. You stand and get noms. Oh, okay, fine. Look, I got dice. Got dice. Because I totally don't have enough dice in my fucking life right now. I need more.
Yeah. You need a
There's
lot
no
more.
such thing as
Some
enough dice.
Oh my god. Chat, I'm gonna get some food and put Crow on the fucking microphone because if I don't, this dumbass is gonna go somewhere else. Chat, go talk to Crow. Hold on. You stupid motherfucker.
Yeah, Crow take over. Crow and become Circuit.
Oh my god. Hold on, I'm trying to organize this shit. This shit's hard, bro.
I think I sprained my ankle like a few days ago. I'm just now noticing.
How did you sprain? Whatever.
Cause like it's kind of swelling up now, and I kind of like popped my ankle when I sat on it weird, and
You-
it hurt for like a little bit.
Popped your ankle. Oh, okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, no, it's okay. No, you're fine. I know what you're going through. You're good.
Well, shut the fuck up.
What do you mean? Shut the fuck up! I am literally trying to help you.
Oh, were you being sarcastic? I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't be sarcastic at all. I'm like, you're good. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
You're making fun of me.
No. The fuck?
What am I going through then? Please tell me.
Nothing. You're fine. You're good. You're perfectly fine. You're fine. Just chill.
Okay then. I'm gonna take a Tylenol.
Sure. Take a Tylenol. You don't even need to take a Tylenol, man. What sets did he open? What's our hit stats? Hit stats. What the hell is? What are you talking about? I have no idea, man. I opened some
What's our
cool
hit
stuff.
stat?
I opened a Mewtwo. That was cool.
They opened. They. Girl, I mean they. Sorry. I was like astonished that I said they.
They? The fuck you mean they?
They opened it. They opened Paradoxu. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. I fucking hate you. God.
I didn't say anything. And you're just dying, dude. It's so funny.
Kill yourself. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. They
In
opened it.
Minecraft.
Shut up. They opened. They opened.
Go on.
I'm
You
gonna
weren't
fucking
still
kill
believe
you.
in you.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're laughing about. My fucking truck was yellow from pollen. Ew.
Okay. They opened the shut the fuck up. You stupid motherfucker! I'm gonna kill you. I fucking hate you. Stop it. Just stop.
Bro, I didn't even do anything, bro. What are you fucking... What are
I
you...
say every time I say they opened, you start laughing. I fucking
It's
hate
just
you.
funny, that's all. Alright, what did they do?
Oh my god! I'm gonna fucking piss myself. It's your fault.
Now you know how I
Everything
feel.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to get some food. I'm trying to pack everything up. Hold on.
He opened
Yay!
Paradox Rift. That's what he opened. He opened the Paradox Rift Dex.
You got out of your system, dude.
Oh my god. This is. What do you mean I got out of my system?
You got out of your system. You said the
Eh.
thing. Eat that something. What'd you do without him? But Val, fuck you. Chad loves me. Chad loves me and
I
shit.
don't know if that's true.
What do you mean?
I think chat loves to torment you.
That too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I mean, they do care about you, but they do love to torment you.
Chat
Yeah.
loves you like a dog that parents parents give their kids that they just torture. They keep in a they like, keep in a cage for entertainment.
Yeah, keep going.
That's
Yeah,
how
you
much
keep
they love
keeping a cage for entertainment. The fuck?
Yeah, that's what irresponsible parents do with pets.
The fuck's the matter with you, man?
What's the matter with you, man? Fuck you.
I didn't do shit.
Fuck off.
Yeah, see, you can't say it.
You
huh?
do everything.
You can do it. Come on, you
do
can
it,
say,
fuck
come on,
you.
kill
You
yourself.
do-
You can say it. It's okay.
I do. I don't want to. You said it, not me.
In Minecraft.
Fuck you. In Walmart.
In Walmart.
Yeah, in Walmart.
I like that better.
In yeah, why Walmart of all things?
Jeez.
You're the one that
Suck
started
it.
it.
With the love in my heart and the last bits I have, go eat something right now, pretty please.
Okay, I'm going
We
to
don't
eat.
want our
See?
people to starve and make us
There.
orphans.
There. See, I put everything in the box. There you go, chat. There you go. There you go. All right, Crow, get on the fucking microphone. I'll be back, chat. Oh, fuck the
Yeah,
sleeves.
get the fuck out.
God damn it. Just put it inside the box. All right. All right, chat, I'm giving it to Crow.
Hey
I'll be
man,
back.
you wanna play some ping
Thank you
pong?
for the gifted.
Sure, let's do it.
The Val. I'm just looking for my friend Keg.
Thank you,
Val,
Mayfair.
you know that's a lie and a half. Okay? Fucking, I seen how you torture Dumpster, man. I don't. You whore. Sit down. What's with the...
It's hot in here. What do you want from me?
Are those no, those are dice. I thought those were pills.
It's not snowing. It's just foggy.
It's snowing?
It's spring. Why would you think it's snowing?
Because he lives in Canada.
It's not even snowing. It's just foggy out.
Sam was right. All you filthy Canadians.
Wow.
God.
Listen. We didn't choose to be born here.
I agree, he does deserve it.
Yeah.
So, Crow, how are you? How is Canada?
I mean, Canada's meh. I'm okay. How you guys doing?
You didn't die or anything this morning? You were relatively okay?
Well, I mean, not hungry. Oh, there's
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
That's the main thing.
Okay, yeah,
Sound like
Circuit
you're
wasn't
woke up
born
in one
here, but
piece.
he was also, like, taken here by his parents at a very young age. So, like, he didn't have a choice
You
in
make
that
it sound
either.
like he was kidnapped.
He was
kidnapped to Canada at a
taken the
young
movie
age.
Oh, I don't know. They're not bad.
with Liam Neeson.
The little cookie cake thing. Just eat it. Yeah. Not bad.
Ideas. No, fuck. Oh shit, my cards. Fuck.
What'd you do?
No.
Did you
I
lose
dropped them.
Oh no.
I dropped. It's the worst thing I could do.
I don't know about the worst thing. I feel like
Yeah,
you've
you've
done
done
What do you
worse
mean?
things today.
Nothing is worse than dropping. What? I had never done anything wrong with you.
True.
It's not that it was wrong, it was that it's worse.
Mm. Some
Well,
things can be better
that's
and worse at the same
subjective.
time.
And in my eyes, nothing is worse than dropping my cards.
Suffering. Skill issue. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. So Joe had to take the day off of the subathon because he's doing like a D&D thing.
Oh.
So we're picking up the subathon again tomorrow. But like, it's like a prior engagement thing, so he couldn't stream today. But just going through like 2 days, we were both exhausted, and now we're gonna pick up and get right back to it, and it's gonna be such a mess.
I was gonna say, did you not go to bed even though you were yelling at me to go to bed?
I did end up going to bed.
Okay.
And then waking up the next morning and seeing the like mess that existed of the server.
Oh god. I don't even want to know.
So many things. It's such a mess.
Which one are we talking about?
Yeah.
There are many that I know of.
Just the like main friend server.
Oh, what? Oh, that. Okay.
You mean like Circuit yelling at me for the pictures that he okayed, by the way.
Does he know that you took those four that I made you do that?
said you cleaned the fucking dishes? The
stove
is clean.
Yeah.
Did you clean?
Say no.
What? I said I cleaned the kitchen.
Tell him you didn't do it.
It wasn't me. I didn't
Deny
do
it.
Oh. Right down here. I think.
Oh my god.
What? What?
Bro, what are you, a housemaid? The fuck?
It was dirty. I made soup. It was dirt. It was messy, so I cleaned it.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Hello.
Okay.
Hope you're having a good day today.
Are we having a
Oh.
Who gives a shit about you?
He's fine.
Oh yes, Bugswing, my partner is doing a subathon right now, and we're diving headfirst back into it tomorrow. And it's
Jesus.
my job to make sure he doesn't die.
Day
Woo.
2. How long is he going for?
A full month, basically, all of April
Yay.
at most. That's where he's capping it.
Good luck. Good luck.
You're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Yep. So lots of taking care of the dog and managing the house, and then making sure that he has food and snacks and water and energy drinks, and he's not alone all the time.
Poor guy. Gotta.
Yeah.
What is it with streamers?
He's got
when they're
lots
doing
of friends
subathon?
on it.
Gotta take care of them like a pet.
Yep. The creature.
The creature.
Must keep the creature alive.
The
Like a Tamagotchi.
creature is very eepy. Eepy peepy.
Yes.
The creature is eepy. Yeah, Circuit, leave me alone. According to Ripley says, leave me alone.
Just tell him that we did it. Me and Jelly, we personally cleaned his house. It wasn't you.
Yeah,
It wasn't
well,
me,
me and
Echo
Echo
and
are
Jelly
currently
did it.
hiding. We're hiding in the garbage disposal, like hanging
Yep.
out
We don't have
I
those in
crawled through
Canada.
the internet tubes.
in the what tubes?
The internet tubes.
The tube.
The internet
Oh,
is
yeah.
a series of tubes.
It is.
We just like
Yeah.
crawl through the pipes.
Yeah, we just crawled through and
Through
then
the
cleaned his house
walls.
when he wasn't looking. And you can tell him we confessed to that.
For that Circuit. Echo and Jelly cleaned. It wasn't me. They crawled through the internet tube. Wow. He said suck a dick.
To us or you?
Both.
Or just
I think it's-
generally?
I
That's
think
a general
generally we should
statement.
suck his dick. I think that's what he's saying.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't say his dick. He said a dick.
Oh.
Could be
dick.
any.
Any dick will do.
Well, line up. I'm joking.
Well, if you believe Major.
Gosh. Who believe? Oh, Major.
Oh my god.
What did Major say?
Major, may I have a taste?
Major
A
was
little
telling us
snack?
to line up if we all make it to.
Oh yes. Wait. Was that the secret art?
Maybe.
Did anyone find it? Was it real?
That I.
Oh, the secret place where Major puts all the secret stuff.
Maybe.
They have a secret art stash.
I never found it. It's
Damn.
pretty hard to find, actually.
Oh. If you do leak it.
No, don't do that. Leave it alone.
Come on, just us.
Just us.
Yeah. Nobody else.
Oh.
So I see you, Maybear.
Calypso.
Can I wait? How do?
Bye.
There we go.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Why?
Yes, we are scheming.
We're scheming an art heist. We're gonna steal all of Major's art.
Aren't we always scheming?
Yeah, that is kind of like a perpetual state of existence for us.
Yes, Sparks, you may join in the scheming.
Oh, hell yeah.
No stealing, no stealing. Just borrowing.
Borrowing.
My scheming simply involves a
Nothing.
hammer launching at Circuit's head approximately 40 miles an hour.
Honestly, valid.
And then I walk away, and
Understandable.
nobody's none the wiser.
I hope I get to see you and Micah in the same room against Circuit.
Yes.
Bro.
Who am I?
All the chaos makers.
Yes.
Sova, Micah, Jelly, Riss, me, you, everyone.
Yeah.
All in the
I'm
same
just
room.
gonna sit there and say the
Making
most
chaos.
head ass shit, and everyone's gonna go crazy.
Oh,
I'm
Sam,
not gonna
that's
do
another one.
Oh my god, please.
Me and Sam would just sit in the corner, just like giggling to each other, and then just like yell out crazy ass shit, and then go back to our corner.
It would be such a mess. We would never be able to record anything because of the like pure like vitriol randomness that would come out of the both of you.
The pure
Instantly
rancid
demonetized.
bullshit that would pour out of our mouths at all times.
Yes, it would be impossible to record anything because nothing would ever be TOS.
Bro, that's why we were nervous about having Sam on the subathon at first. We're like, she's a
Surprisingly, Sam
teacher.
is very, very good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah. We were like, she's
Except
a teacher,
for the
so
one-
we know she can like hold her tongue when she has to, but
Except for the one like F word, she cannot stop herself from saying that. She cannot. It's like
she's a
like a
mess.
poisonous venom she has to release. Like,
Yep.
"Bleh!"
and you know what? Good
Yeah,
for
Sam's
her.
great. Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
We were on call with Sam while she was like monitoring a test, and she was just like on call with us while she was doodling in her sketchbook, and she restrained so hard not to say the most vile shit to us in front of her students.
Ooh.
She's an English teacher too, right? So like that would what English words can we teach them today?
You're not gonna find this in your dictionary. No.
That's always the best thing to learn though. That's like the first thing I learn in any language. Swear words.
Yeah, it's the first thing that like anyone learns.
Mm.
Because it's the most interesting.
Sam is an icon.
Cast of characters,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Silly little beans. Just a bunch of silly little guys.
And Sparks is right. the
He
hammer needs to be
keeps us
faster.
locked in a cage. Call the police. Help.
He does.
Help.
He locks us all in a box. He won't let us out.
Yeah.
Send help.
The
He
1, 2,
shakes us
3 Internet
around.
Street.
I'm so sick.
Getting motion sickness. Please help. He won't let us out.
Oh my gosh, I am so freaking sleepy. What was your favorite drink from yesterday? Also, how do you make the chug jug? Because that one looked toxically blue and also like painfully delicious.
It was so good. It's not the
I'm gonna have
same
to
as
get it from
Eggs
Egg.
because like Egg said to use Beatbox, which I don't think you can get that in Canada. But so we used Ramune instead. We used vodka, orange juice, blue curacao.
I don't know if it's just me, but I think it's pronounced Ramune.
Is it?
Ramune.
I have no
and
idea.
whenever you say ramune, I think you're gonna say ramen eggs.
Okay, Ramune.
Like that's every time that's what my brain pictures when you start that word. I think of ramen, and
Well, I've only ever read it. I've never heard the word before, so you're probably right. More emphasis
yeah,
on
I
you.
keep
Got it.
thinking. Yeah, I keep thinking that you're gonna say like ramen eggs or like ramen noodles.
Yeah, we put ramen in it.
Like, ugh, gross. But yes, okay, so
It was vodka.
ramen,
It was like one part
vodka.
vodka, 1 part orange juice, 2 parts blue curacao, and then just topped it off with like yuzu citrus ramune
Ooh.
and blueberry ramune.
What is blue curacao?
Yeah, blue curacao. It's I can show the bottle in a sec.
Yeah, what is that?
I've never heard it called any other name, so I'm not 100%.
Also, I'm so interested to find out how the travel is gonna go for you guys coming to freaking Dallas because of all the issues right now between like the US and Canada. How
There are other brands, but like this is the one we used.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a blue liqueur, but like I'm not. I imagine it's
But
like
what flavor is it? What does it taste like?
it's fruity. It says
Okay.
apricot, orange.
And it's
Those
blue?
are not blue fruits.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
like orangey. Interesting. So it's like got like a citrus flavor.
Yeah,
It was like the opposite of what it looks like.
pretty much. Yeah, it says bitter orange spirit, alcohol, citrus fruits, and plant extracts. So it's like apricot, citrusy, that kind of. It's good though.
Interesting.
Wait. There's no alcohol being drunk right now. Mr. Twitch, please.
Mr. Twitch, please. You don't understand my family.
Mr. Twitch, please don't cut off my balls. I love my balls.
I think people
I need
mostly
them.
use it for like the color versus instead of using like regular say liqueur.
Talking shit.
What's he yelling about?
Why is he so aggressive all the fucking time?
He is, right?
All the time.
So aggressive.
God.
Aggressive. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm the most aggressive motherfucker in town.
Man, shut the fuck up.
See?
Go fuck off and jerk yourself off somewhere.
You guys want
Jelly says go fuck
Nope.
off
You want to? We just. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
I just want to open
Yeah.
Pokemon cards with you guys. Good night,
Night.
guys. We're gonna end the stream.
Good night.
Yeah.
Okay, good night.
Last
Bye,
Thursday
bye, chat.
stream.
Oh,
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
good night, Dark.
See you Friday, I guess.
What's
Yeah,
going on
and,
Friday?